at ZipRecruiter.com/team. That's ZipRecruiter.com/team.
ZipRecruiter. I need a little range, step to the range, come on, meet me at the
Introducing the new Chick-fil-A Jalapeno Ranch Club Sandwich. With that juicy Chick-fil-A chicken on a buttermilk ranch bun, jalapeno ranch sauce, and pickled jalapenos, it's a little ranch with a lot of kick.
I wanna let my boots come along, let the good times roll, let the ranch.
The new Chick-fil-A Jalapeno Ranch Club with original spicy or grilled filet. Available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at Amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco, on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. The best Giants talk in the Bay is on 95.7 The Game. Reaction to every pitch.
Miller throws. He got him with the fastball. Miller's pointing at all the Reds.
Every home run.
High drive. Left field. Out of here.
And every big play.
A little slow roller. Chapman. Barehand. Got it.
It's your fix for Giants baseball.
It is a dream come true, but it's a very recent dream.
The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap.
Oh, hello there, and good morning. Welcome into the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on this gorgeous Saturday, May 16th. Giants fall 5-2 to the A's. That wasn't as fun to watch last night, but what will be fun is this show. And why it'll be fun is because it's me, Sam Lund, but of course, it's my co-host, Dan Devone. Dan, how you doing this morning?
Well, I'm just curious as to at what point you'll explain what sits atop the red flowing hair of one Sam Lubin this morning.
Yeah, so for those who are watching on YouTube, which again, it's early in the show, so it's probably about 5 or 6 of you guys right now. But for those who are listening on this this primarily auditory medium, I am currently wearing a Indiana Hoosiers beanie, Dan. And I know what everyone in the audience might be thinking. Well, Sam, why would you wear an Indiana Hoosiers beanie? You went to the University of Miami. And yes, I did. And the reason why is because our guy behind the glass today, Caddy Zach Green, our Hoosiers insider, the one of the top 5 most famous alumni out of the University of Indiana. He and I had a bet back in January. It's a simple one. Who is going to win the national championship, Miami or Indiana? Obviously, we all know how that game went, and so this is me honoring up on my bet. If Miami had won, he would have to wear a bunch of Miami stuff. Since Miami lost, I got to wear this Hoosiers beanie while we do the show today. So
could have been a lot worse.
Oh, absolutely. We could have done so many worse. We could have had money involved. I'm not a big money bettor when it comes to sports.
No, I'm talking about the humiliation, because actually you rocked the hat pretty well. So I'm telling you, the Hoosier wear could have got a little more embarrassing. So I think Zach did you well.
No, he literally could have had me come in with the whole get-up and everything, a Fernando jersey, but I'm sure we could have done it at one point, but like Zach, I'm sure you got a lot more stuff in your wardrobe you could have doctored me up in, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, we're going easy. I mean, it took us a while to finally work it out. There's a couple times where he came in but forgot something, or our schedules didn't cross over that much, but yep, that is my life today, Dan.
Do you know what a Hoosier is?
I assume it's just someone from Indiana. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it, right?
That's the extent of it. It's a resident from Indiana, and they don't know. Like, for over 200 years, they've tried to figure out the mystery as to the origin of the name, and there's no real, I don't know, unless somebody out there knows much more on Indiana and the University of Indiana and the origin of the word Hoosier. But aside as far as my knowledge takes me. That's it.
I don't know, Zach. Do you have enough knowledge on the history of Indiana to tell us why it is Hoosier?
I'm just assuming it's someone from Indiana. When I first went there, we had to take a course on it.
So you had a whole class on why you're called Hoosiers. Yeah, so you had to take this whole class on why you're called Hoosiers? Like, that's the thing?
Pretty much. They made you watch the movie Breaking Away about Lil 500, and yeah.
Oh, Breaking Away, great movie.
We took a whole class on it. How come you still don't know the origin of it?
No one does. It's like pretty much just someone just showed up.
I was going to say, like, well, you said you took a whole class on it. I thought maybe the class would shed light on the mystery, but... So you took an entire class on why they're called the Hoosiers, and the entire class at the end of the day
is
just
orientation. So you show up, your first week.
Your mascot is a bison.
Learn about it, and
right?
I didn't learn about the origins other than someone from Indiana.
I see.
But your mascot is a bison. Is that correct?
So that's a great question, Dan. When I was there, we didn't have a mascot. People always asked people about it, and They just recently brought it back.
Wow.
It was in the 60s.
What's his name? The Bison.
I think Hoosier.
Hoosier the Bison. There you go. That works out. Not as cool as Sebastian the Ibis, but again, he did get the win. They got the championship. So this is me owning up to the bet. I own up to my bets, Dan. They don't happen off because I don't like to make bets because I don't like losing bets. But you know what else I don't like losing is baseball games, especially when they're against the A's, Dan. That one... Again, A's Giants, I don't know if there's as much sizzle in this rivalry as there used to be now that you got to drive across, half the state of California to see each other versus just driving over the Bay Bridge. But it is just classic Giants offense, as in just wasn't there last night at all.
Wow. Just when we thought maybe there was a glimmer of hope, we thought we were getting to the other side of this and the law of averages. I made the analogy to blackjack, and the cards were beginning to turn. You played 2 good games against the Los Angeles Dodgers. There was a 3-game winning streak. You won that series against the Pirates. You split against L.A., and it's the last 2 against Los Angeles, and then again last night. It's right back to where we were.
No, basically, and what's crazy, Dan, is this month has felt better for the Giants than the month of April did, and yet you're still 5-9 on this month.
Well, now you even...
Yeah.
Well, I would say this time last week, as bad as things were, you were 8 games under 500. Now you're 9 games under 500.
Exactly. We've basically taken a step back. Or, I mean, if you really, since last time you and I met on this show, Dan, the Giants are 4-3, I think, in that time. You had the 2 wins against Pittsburgh. And then, because they lost Saturday against Pittsburgh, beat Pittsburgh, 3 against Dodgers. So, no, sorry, they're 3-4 since you and I last sat here in this studio, talk Giants baseball. It's sliding in the wrong direction, Dan. And it's happening at the wrong time. And you look at this weekend where the Giants are at, it almost feels like it's May 15th yesterday, May 16th today. It feels like this weekend is like the make or break weekend for the Giants. And last night was not encouraging if you're holding out for the making it option there.
Pitching was typical and hitting was typical. And I don't know, we can get into why. And it's not just Molly, but why these pitchers, after 4 innings, it's just like, see ya. You get to the 5th, and it's an entirely different story. And it holds true for just about everybody. So, again, there's, aside from Jung-Hoo Lee's bizarre inside-the-park home run the other night, I mean, this is a team that's reverted back to just being the complete ineptitude. And, again, when you look at them 1 through 9, it's a head scratch. The one theme, because I know everybody wants to have or throw knives, or they have the object of their ire is either Posey or the manager, obviously the players. I'm going to be the first to say, I don't know why. I just don't know. You don't hear that from a lot of sports talk radio hosts or sports talk radio so-called experts, but I do not know. I cannot explain. If you were to put a gun to my head and say, tell me why Devers isn't hitting, Dan, I don't know.
Devers actually been one of the few bright spots this month, actually, Dan. He's hitting the ball really well, and he's squaring up on the fastballs now, especially those ones that are right over the heart of the plate. But that's just one guy there. You need to add more onto that. Jung-Hoo Lee, I think he's swinging a better bat this month as well. Luis Arias, obviously, he's just absolutely perfect. Had the home run last night. Another 4-hit night for him. I can't say enough good things about Luis Arias. Thank you, Luis Arias, for being on this team.
In the beginning of the season, over the offseason, that Arias was your best player at this juncture, What were the odds?
I mean, a part of me would believe it, but also it'd be like, that's believable, but also not a good situation for the rest of the team. Again, he is the only guy who's basically performed up to expectations
I
all
say
year
he's
this year.
exceeded expectations.
He's just a consistent.
Defensively, especially.
Oh, well, I shout out Rod Washington on that one. I think Wash has done an incredible job about turning Luis Arias around. But you mentioned the pitching there with Tyler Mahle. He's a guy, again, he was pitching pretty well last night. You know, the fastball was working. He got some good swings and misses with the cutter there. But then in the fifth inning, Dan, you're right. He's a 5-and-dive guy.
It's the second time through the order.
Yeah.
It's like what is it?
He is, Adrian Hauser is too. I mean, he had 66 pitches going into the start of that fifth inning, Dan. And again, he's pitched pretty well, but he got the top of the A's lineup coming up, or going to the bottom of the A's lineup before they flipped it. And it just got out of hand really fast. Lawrence Butler, 3 pitches. He singles off the cutter. Daniel Hernandez gets a great sacrifice bunt down that on the first pitch. That moves Butler to second. Then McNeil gets the fly ball. Again, kind of draws that at-bat out a little bit. I don't know if in that situation you want to go to someone before Kurtz comes to the plate. Maybe that would have been the move, is you get Matt Gage up in the bullpen maybe at the start of that fifth inning in case Mahle starts to get shaky there. That would have been a good time maybe to bring Matt Gage in to try and get Nick Kurtz out instead. But again, it happens so quickly, and when Mahle's pitching as well as he had going into the fifth inning, you want to give him a chance to finish that fifth inning and actually be in line for a potential winning decision, because remember, the Giants were ahead in that fifth inning. I don't know if it's as simple as they should have gotten him out sooner, or maybe Tony was right to kind of let Mahle get a shot to finish that inning and just didn't work out that well.
Yeah, I think, again, we're still learning a lot about Vitello and just sort of what sort of a manager he is. Does he entrust his players? Is he somebody with his head down that just wants to go stats? Is he more Farhan-esque? Where's he at? And I think that he is a guy that just wants to believe in his players. I mean, Chapman hitting third made no sense to anybody aside from that of Vitello. And I don't know. I would love to talk to him and how he broke that down. But again, I think that he's trying to provide some confidence into guys that are struggling. And I think when it comes to pitching, he's just like, he's one of those guys like, I know what the stats say and I know what it is, the tendencies you're having up to this point, but I believe you got some bulldog in you and you're going to work through this. And on both cases, they backfired last night. Chapman was once again terrible.
Oh, he's been so lost at the plate this entire month lately. Andrew Bagley did a great story on him in The Athletic, actually, that came out yesterday about just the swing is too level. He can't get any power into it right now. And, you know, the batted ball data is still there. The swing and miss data is still pretty consistent with Chapman, you know, overall in his career. So the belief that the belief is that there is a mechanical issue with Chapman, and that's something you could fix. He's just got to get dialed. He's just got to get his swing dialed in, and then hopefully he can get things going again.
I love to get your dad online too, because it's almost like messing with your golf swing. You can fix it.
If he's not on the course yet, he can call in.
But you know, Sam, literally, it's something that Zach, Caddy Zach, you know what I'm talking about. Like if you're going to do any alterations to your golf swing, you can fix mechanics. But when it becomes muscle memory, that's a lot of work, bro. And to do that mid-season, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah, and you got to focus. I tend on my golf swing like one thing at a time. And it's hard when you try to do it so quickly and you have a game every day.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's not about, you can't just think the entire swing. It's just the little things. And then you build from there. And then eventually you address the entire swing. But that's not an easy undertaking. Hey, fix your swing, you're in a slump.
Yeah, well, especially again when you have to be out in the field every day. Also, you know, he's got to be working on the defensive part of his game, and then he's got to be playing these games every day and basically trying to figure out his swing from at-bat to at-bat. I'll say this when it comes to Chapman batting third. On the one hand, I do get it. You're trying to get him going, and you're putting him in a pretty solid spot in the lineup with Lee, Arias, and Devers before and after you. You're pretty insulated with some good hitters right there, the way that those three guys are hitting. They've probably been your three most consistently best hitters this month, Jung-Hoo Lee, Luis Arias, and Rafael Devers. But what ends up happening, Dan, in a night where Lee goes 1 for 4, Arias gets 4 hits, you have just a dead spot in the middle of your three best hitters. And part of the reason why this team, I think, goes 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position last night, Dan, is 0 for 7, they just can't consistently string 3 hits together. And when you can't do that, you're not going to get rallies going. And then guys start to play hero ball and try and hit home runs, because if you can't string hits together, then you just got to go all or nothing there. And it's just, these things start to snowball so fast every single night with this team. And if you're Tony, I don't know what you do. You got to believe in your guys on the one hand, but you also got to recognize the reality that's in front of you, which is these guys just aren't hitting at all.
No, and God, I thought we were past this. I really did. I was thinking about this, like, it's obviously something that we've talked about to death, but with the start of the first 2 games against the Dodgers, I'm like, a glimmer of hope. At least they're going to play a little bit better. Here we go. We'll see. We'll see what happens if they're able to make a serious run. I think if there's a shining light in all of this, is that I think that the National League West is a little, I'll stay away from the word weak, but I mean, the Dodgers are good, but the Dodgers clearly are human over the last month. San Diego's had issues. Arizona and, Colorado's still terrible, better than the Giants, but I still think that it could be a lot worse. You're still only single digits back of the first place team, despite all your woes. So I know that you have to take care of your own house before you even start thinking of things like that. But thankfully, Atlanta's not atop the NL West, where you're already, you could be 25 games out at this point.
Yeah, again, Giants are 18-27. They're actually a game above the Rockies for the worst record in the National League. They're the second worst team in the National League, Dan. That's where they're at right now. Like, they're 8.5 back of the Padres for that final wild card spot. And they got literally the entire National League that they have to crawl over in order to get there. And a season in the National League is a lot deeper than I think a lot of people expected. The Pirates are right now on the first team out right now looking in. They have that 7th spot. Pirates are a pretty good team. We saw them last weekend, even though the Giants did take 2 or 3 from them. The Reds are a team that's feels like they've been kind of knocking on the door the last couple of years. The Phillies, they've completely turned things around since they fired Rob Thompson. They're 22-23 now. And that was a team that 3 weeks ago looked absolutely dead in the water. The Phillies are very much going to be back in the mix of things. Arizona Diamondbacks, they're 21-22. You're going to see them for the first time next week. You're going to see them a couple times over the next couple weeks. So we're going to learn just how good they are and how the Giants match up against them. The Marlins, the Mets, they're ahead of the Giants too. It's just the National League is so much deeper this year than it has been in years past. And if the Giants were in the American League, maybe you feel good about yourselves. But, Dan, it's May 16th, and it feels like we're right back to where we started with this team.
Yeah.
It's bleak.
It's ugly. But I guess my point in the National League is, aside from Atlanta, I don't know, and the Dodgers, obviously, but the Dodgers, again, have, they've scuffled over the last 2 weeks. I just don't know how secure I am with any of those teams that you just mentioned. They're good.
The Cubs are in there too.
Well, the Cubs, perfect example. They just lost 10 in a row. That was a team that was so good, and they just, they came off of a huge losing streak. And so, a lot of these teams, the Reds, were really good, and then they suddenly fell on hard times. So, it's that part of the season where we're trying to figure out. It's like the beginning of the Kentucky Derby. We're just like horses are still jostling for position. We don't really know who the pretenders are and who are the legitimate thoroughbreds at this point. But when I look at the field, I look at Atlanta and I look at the Dodgers, and then I'm like, okay, should you really be afraid of the rest? I mean, obviously, you got to be afraid of just about everybody because you've been so bad. But
well, yeah, we're the get-right team for everybody. I mean, the Brewers are going to be in the mix, too. The Giants got a road trip coming up at the end of the month, Dan. They start off with 3 in Colorado, which, in theory, that should be a good jumping-off point there. But you're, A, not a good team, the Giants are, and then, B, it's still Coors Field. Like, I never take any game at Coors Field for granted. Those games can turn into nightmares literally in the span of 2 to 3 hitters, which, the way the Giants pitch these days, they're very good at letting 2 to 3 hitters turn the game into a nightmare.
It's also a good place to get healthy offensively.
Yes, that is true. But then after that, you have 4 games in Milwaukee, 3 games in Chicago. And if the Giants do not, by some miracle, go on a hot streak over these next couple series, heading into that, that road trip, that feels like that 7-game stretch feels like that could be the final nail in the coffin on this season, if that final nail isn't delivered prior to that. Because, yeah, the Brewers are an incredibly good team right now. They excel at all the things the Giants do not do very well. They pitch very well. They move very well defensively in the outfield. They can string hits together, and the Cubs they just look like, again, you mentioned the Braves and the Dodgers. The Cubs are easily the 3rd best team in the National League, and that the top 3 in the National League are very, very good right now.
Where there's still 4 games ahead of pace if you use the Washington Nationals as sort of the barometer of a slow start and then winning a World Series.
You said, the 19-31 start.
Yeah.
Well, I'll add this, Dan. Going into last night, prior to last night's loss, the Giants had a .409 winning percentage. Unfortunately, Dan, in the history of San Francisco Giants baseball since 1958, no Giants team has started with a winning percentage of .409 or worse and had a winning season, much less made the playoffs. So it's... you're in the point right now, Dan, and this is a situation I hate to be in any circumstance, no matter the team, where you're basically preying on a miracle to turn this season around. Like, the Giants could, in theory, rip off a 10-game winning streak.
I think miracle's a little strong. I think if this is a team that was in a rebuild, if this is a team where you had a bunch of young players and a really low payroll, I would call that a miracle. If the Giants were to snap off 15 in a row, yeah, it'd be impressive. But I think it'd be more of it's about damn time as opposed to this is a miracle.
Oh, Dan, I don't even know these guys can rip off 4 in a row, though, the way that they're playing. It's just, and the reason why, Dan, is just, and we've talked about this a lot on this station, is just the inability for this team to generate momentum. And that's why I look at this game last night. You know, and the A's, they have a very good lineup. Their pitching is suspect, though. I thought Aaron Savali, he was a guy who's had success against the Giants in the past. He's had a pretty good season. He pitched them very well. But it's, like I said, it's the inability to get basically 3 productive at-bats in a row. And there's a couple moments last night in the top of the 4th inning. Ramos gets a base hit. Adames gets a base hit. You feel like you're cooking here. Bryce Eldridge is up. He hits a ball that I think was 107 off the bat, right into Jeff McNeil's glove at second base. I think it was the hardest hit ball of the night. And it's just like, this team just can't catch a break. Then you finally do string 3 productive at-bats together in the 5th inning. Bader hits that home run to left. Jung-Hoo Lee gets a base hit. Luis Arias gets a base hit. Now you're feeling like you got something cooking here, but then Chapman pops out, Rafi Devers strikes out, all your momentum's gone. Ideally, you would have liked to have that be the other way around, where you get your base hits, then the home run. But that was the only time in the night, Dan, where the Giants put together 3 straight productive at-bats, and your 3 and 4 hitters didn't come through there. We're talking about getting this team back into the mix of things for a playoff spot, or even just 500. When you night in and night out are just incapable of stringing together consistently good at-bats from your lineup, you're never going to get the momentum going enough to go on that kind of streak that gets you back in the mix of this thing.
Yeah, you mentioned something sort of casually, how the Sacramento A's, or the A's, the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's, have a good starting lineup, and I agree with you. And I mention this all the time when I do Warriors This Week. I'm a big advocate of the Warriors going young and blowing it up. I'll save that for another rant. But when you look at the A's and the construct of that team, it's typical sort of A's, Billy Beane, Moneyball baseball. It's low budget, young players, and now with a clear future when you talk about the A's going forward, and certainly when you think about Las Vegas, because they'll add some pieces. And then you look at the San Francisco Giants, which is clearly an older ball club, and there's the 2 schools of thought. Would you ever entertain, or is there a breaking point where you're like, okay, sell these pieces off, get them off. We want picks, or we want your draft capital or your minor league stars, and we need to start this anew. We need to go the direction of sort of like that of the A's.
Well, that's kind of a tough question here, Dan, because the Giants, I do think, have this kind of
Which,
mandate.
by the way, they've never subscribed to.
Exactly. The Giants kind of have this mandate of you're always trying to win baseball games. Like, you're always going out there and trying your best. You're always going out there, and the goal is to, compete. Joe Shasky, he'll call it the nobility of competing. I just call it, that's what you try and do in baseball. I believe that you're always trying to win. I think this organization would rather strike out swinging than not take any swings at all, if that makes any sense. And on the one hand, I do appreciate that. I do like a team that's always trying to win, especially when we look around, other sporting leagues where the NBA is tearing itself apart, trying to stop tanking. We see what the White Sox have gone through over the last couple of years, how bad they were. Heck, the A's just building up this rendition of their team.
Shout out White Sox, because they're good now.
I know they are good now. I'd rather be the White Sox. But you look at what the A's had to go through to get through this rebuild. 2022 and 2023 were absolutely miserable seasons for that organization. I think they lost 100 games both years. And, in 22, they were about as lost of a team as you could have possibly created there, or same with 23, it looks all worth it now. We're at a point, Dan, where it's just like, that might be the direction the Giants have to go in if they can't turn this thing around anytime soon.
Yeah, I know the A's and certain teams are now enjoying the fruits of all their losses, but I do not think that management would ever subscribe to that. And I think that the other thing you have to keep in mind is what dictates a lot of that are butts in the seats. And as bad as the Giants are playing, you go to that Pirates game last Sunday night, or last Sunday afternoon, and
people are into it.
This 3 quarters full. So as long as whatever they're doing from a marketing standpoint, or it still resonates to go out there as a fan, they'll continue to do what it is that they're doing. And as long as, if the team's losing and it's not moving the bottom line, which is money at the end of the day, I think that they're not going to blow that thing up. And the other thing is if you do, who are these minor leaguers that you're going to bring up? It's not as though you have all these kids that suddenly you can invest in saying, yeah, bring up the kids. Let's get rid of all these stars, and we'll wait on these guys to stew and get better over the next 2 to 3 years. Who would that be exactly?
I mean, you do got some guys in your minors who would bring up. I mean, again, if you're blowing it up, I think one guy who I think we can agree you're not moving off of right now is Rafi Devers. I think he's entrenched with this team for a while. The fact that he's hitting well right now makes it a lot easier to say that. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Seriously, I didn't mean to interrupt, because just coming back from New York, there was a lot of WFAN talk about the Mets going after Devers if he continues.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and if the trade deadline that the Giants wanted, and it's so Cohen and New York Mets, right? Just add another.
And honestly, he would be willing to take the money too, because Steve Cohen is just that crazy that way. Listen, if a team called up and said, "Hey, we'll take Rafi's contract off your hands," I don't think you'd have a hard time convincing Buster Posey to do that. I don't think the Giants themselves are going to be trying to instigate that right now, because he is still the most legitimate hitter in their lineup. But you're looking at Willy Adames, you're looking at Matt Chapman, you're looking at Jung-Hoo Lee. Those are the 3 contracts that I think right now, if you're going to blow it up, would be the most difficult to move off of. You're going to have to package those guys up with other guys. Robbie Ray is a guy who you are probably going to have to move off of in a couple months here. Hopefully he can still keep pitching well. The real question is what you do with Luis Arias.
Yeah.
He's 28 years old, 29 or something like that. He's only a year or 2 older than Casey Schmidt. So I mean, it's not like Luis Arias is an older guy. You could, in theory, extend Luis Arias and keep him around a little bit longer, because I don't know what your second base options are right now, but you also don't really have a whole lot of shortstop options either, unless I guess you moved off Adames and put Schmidt at short. You could, in theory, do that, but no, Dan, it's getting to a point where, I mean, they might have no choice but to have to kind of blow this thing up, but I don't know how they're going to go about doing that, especially when this organization refuses to ever go down that road.
Yeah, I don't think they will. Again, I think that a lot of this is dictated by the number of people at the gate, and as long as fans continue to show up, they'll continue to do what it is that they're doing. So you're sort of stuck with these guys. And I talked about this last week. The only way out of this, hit the damn baseball.
It's that simple, really, but it's that complicated at the same time. That's Dan Devone. I'm Sam Lohman. It's the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. 888-957-9570 is the number to call or text on the text line. It's not sponsored anymore. Giants fans, God, why is this team so bad? Like, we're going to try to figure that out. Well, we're not going to be able to figure out, but in your opinion, why is this team so bad right now? And is there any reason that you could believe in this team turning things around? We'll talk about that all show long. Plus, one guy I want to focus on, maybe in this next segment here, it's Willy Adames. He had I don't know, Dan, if he had a rough moment the other night in L.A. I want to get your thoughts about that on the other side. It was a big part of the morning roast for Spadoni and I on Thursday morning. What do you do with Willy Adames? Are you trying to move him right now, or do you try and just let him play out of this funk that he's been in all season long? 888-957-9570 is the number to call. Want to hear from you all, Giants fans. We take any and all Giants takes on the show. It is the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. More on the other side, brought to you by Fairmont Bank. Here for you, here for good.
UFC fans, listen up. Want to win the ultimate UFC fan experience? Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC, is sending 4 lucky winners to Washington, D.C. for a VIP UFC Freedom 250 Fan Fest experience. We're talking travel, VIP access, and so much more. Text TOTAL to 23955 to enter for your chance to win. No purchase necessary. Data rates may apply. Ends May 19th. Entrants must be resident of the 50 U.S. or D.C. 18 plus. Official rules at TotalPowerSweeps.com.
Download
code to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code GO to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code GO to borrow up to $10,000. Use code GO to borrow up to $10,000.
Invest your tax refund in your home with Golden State Lumber and Showroom. Upgrade with Milgard windows and patio doors and get up to $100 back on patio doors and up to $40 per window, depending on the series. Hurry, this offer ends June 8th. Connect with us at goldenstatelumber.com. The first 50 customers who mention this radio ad get free delivery. Golden State Lumber and Showroom. When you succeed, we succeed.
It's Bonte. And listen, I know a great thing when I see it. And River Islands in Lathrop, this place is the real deal. We're talking about a community that's alive, especially this summer. Sparkling lakes are perfect for kayaking, paddleboarding, and just getting out on the water with the family. A brand new amphitheater is under construction for concerts and community events. The Redwood Cafe is opening this fall. This community is only getting better, folks. And the homes? Whether you're a young family, a professional ready to level up, or an active adult looking for that next chapter, River Islands has something for you. Homes start in the low 600,000s and go over $1 million. And if you're 55 and better, Dale Webb's Lakeview Club is now open, giving you resort-style living right on the water with a swimming pool, fitness center, pickleball courts, and more. I'm telling you, warm evenings, great neighbors, summer on the water. This is Northern California living at its best. It's time for you to discover the islands. Start today at riverislands.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-910-2233. That's 800-910-2233. 800-910-2233.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Don't miss the Bay Area's own Journey on their Final Frontier Tour. They'll be taking over the Chase Center on November 28th. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. And for your chance to win your way into the show courtesy of Live Nation, visit the contest page at 957thegame.com.
a pitcher. High drive down the right field line. Fair or foul? It is out of here. And Arise has got his first home run in a Giants uniform, and this game is tied.
Now back to the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, we are back on the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. Dwayne Kuiper on the call there for Luis Arias's first home run of the year, and Luis Arias just could not be more perfect this year for this team. As I always say, Luis Arias, 10-10, no notes. Just keep being you, and just thank you for being the incredible breath of fresh air that you have been for this Giants team as we are coming to you live from the Laughing Monk
Studios. As many home runs as Fernando Tatis now.
You did? Tatis got his first home run?
Yeah, he finally did.
Oh, good. I was so convinced that Tatis would go deep against the Giants last week when the Padres came to town. He had no home runs. It was like, oh, well, that seems pretty ominous because he always seems to like to go deep against his team. And Giants got lucky on that one. Did not get so lucky with the Shohei Ohtani home run drought that he had coming into that series against the Dodgers. But again, Giants lose 5-2 to the A's last night in Sacramento. Again, coming to you live from Laughing Monk Studios, Laughing Monk, righteously brewed in San Francisco. But again, we still love what we're seeing from Luis Arias. That's been the biggest positive for this team this year, Dan. And, you know, we'll talk about Willy Adames just a second. But Luis Arias, again, we're talking about, like, what do you do with this team? You know, you mentioned we might have to blow this thing up. I mean, God, that might have to include Luis Arias in a couple months. I mean, as tough it is to watch this team right now, God, could you imagine how difficult it would be to watch this team without Luis Arias?
Yeah, if you're talking about if they become sellers at the trade deadline, I'm assuming. The other thing you have to keep in mind, if you're talking about blowing it up, this is the worst time to do it because you have very little trade value for these. I mean, you're going to get lowballed, right? You're going to get the pennies on the dollar because obviously none of these guys are hitting. So you have no leverage.
It's addition by subtraction, basically. Is the value you're gaining is by not having those guys on the roster. And that's just that would just really suck. That's not a situation you ever want to be in.
Yeah, and again, I just threw that out there. I don't think the Giants subscribe to that. It's never been what they've done historically. And again, as long as you continue to draw huge crowds, they're never going to go that way. So they're going to ride it out with these big threes. Just get used to Chapman, get used to Adames, and get used to Devers over at third because I don't think they're going anywhere. And that's certainly for – I do think that when you're – the Devers contract, if he's – and you got him until he's age 36. And if he's doing this in his late 20s, I mean,
yikes.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah, well, again, he typically does get hot in May, and we are kind of seeing that here right now. So, I mean, it's just Rafi kind of has a track record enough that you're gonna roll with it. You're gonna roll with the downswings because you know the upswings are so good. But I think the problem, Dan, this is where making the decision on Rafi is going to get interesting. I don't know if he's a guy who can be the best hitter in your lineup. Like, I think you need another hitter or two who's better than him to kind of anchor this lineup, whereas like we kind of saw this with Willy Adames last year where he was kind of expected to be kind of the premier hitter in the lineup at the start of last year, and that was a big ask for him. Then they got Rafi. It kind of pushed him down the pecking order a little bit. I think that ended up being a good move for the Giants and a good move for Willie, but now here we are a year later, and we're having the same conversation about Rafi Devers. We're like, I don't know if he could be the best hitter in this lineup. They might need someone else.
I think he can be the best hitter in the lineup because keep in mind, you always have to play to your park, right? And the Giants have always, they've done it a different way. They've done it with pitching, they do it with defense, and they do it with just enough hitting, although they obviously had stars like that of Buster Posey back in the day. But Devers is enough if the construct of your team, and if your team is doing what it is that's expected of them. If you're getting the table set by that of Jung-Hoo Lee, and Arise continues to do what he does, and then you have Adames who's giving you, your 30 bombs again, and then Devers is your best player offensively. You just need enough offense and know how to play to that park. That's always been sort of the script, right, for San Francisco. You're never going to be the Yankees. You're not going to be the Dodgers. You've never had to outslug opponents in order to win since you've moved into Oracle. So I think Devers can still be your best player. It's just the surrounding pieces right now are just so woeful.
Yeah, it would be helpful to get Adames get going again. It'd be helpful to get Schmidt hitting consistently again. He struggled the last couple games, sat a couple times this week. We did see him. He sat last night. We did see him in left field last night, which with Ramos injuring his quad last night, I'd be curious if this kind of does open the door for the Giants to experiment with Casey Schmidt in left field because he is still, the last couple games notwithstanding, one of the bats that you're trusting the most in this lineup, Dan. And I kind of wonder, again, if we're talking Casey Schmidt, talking Luis Arias, I wonder if there's a universe where the Giants would maybe consider moving Casey Schmidt or trading Casey Schmidt and extending Luis Arias. If you're in that, because like they got to find a way to get Bryce Eldridge in the lineup more on a consistent basis while also putting out the best lineup possible. Again, with Ramos potentially not playing today, that does give you a chance to get Casey Schmidt out in left field because you want to get Casey getting his consistent at-bats too because he's been swinging as well as they can. But again, Dan, like you got 3 hitters right now in this lineup that you're probably feeling good about. Jung-Hoo Lee, Luis Arias, and Rafi Devers. You've had your concerns about Jung-Hoo Lee in the past. They're very valid. I have my concerns about Jung-Hoo Lee as a hitter. It's just, I just don't know how you get this lineup going right now. I really don't.
Well,
I'm just at a complete loss.
I think Casey Schmidt, along with obviously Arias, and then you throw in Eldridge, they've got to play every day. They have to. We'll get into Eldridge, but that's on you guys. You created this conundrum, but you cannot. So I don't know whether that means having the big boy talk with the big 3, that being Chapman, Devers, and Adames, and that they have to rotate and sitting those guys. Because listen, if it was a typical season, maybe Schmidt can play sparingly or you can work Schmidt in occasionally. But with this particular team that cannot hit, Schmidt has got to play. Despite the fact that he's come back down to earth over the last week, I need to see more of him struggling before I pull him. But as of right now, I need Schmidt's bat. I need to see Eldridge has got to play more. He can't bring this guy up to pinch hit. If there's anything that I'd hang on Vitello to this point is, and maybe this isn't all directed at him, but it's been the management of your supposed future star and Bryce Eldridge, who's come up and then he doesn't play. He pinch hits. It's like, send his ass back down if that's what we're going to do. But those guys have got to play, and it's on you to find room for them and, again, to move things around so that they get in the lineup.
Yeah, 888-957-9570. Again, we're reacting to the Giants' 5-2 loss to the A's last night. How do the Giants find more chances to get Bryce Eldridge into the lineup? Jim Bowden, former GM, I know he's covers MLB at large for The Athletic. He joined Willard and Dibbs earlier this week, and he had some pretty strong words about how the Giants are utilizing Bryce Eldridge, and he just thinks it's absurd how the Giants are using him as a pinch hitter.
Bryce Eldridge should be playing first base in AAA every day. He should be taking 200 ground balls every day down there and hitting and being out there every game. And never take a game off and develop him and get him ready. You don't bring a top prospect to the big leagues and have him sit. If you're going to bring him to the big leagues, then play him every day. He's not ready for the big leagues. You need to develop him more. So put him in AAA, work on the defense. If first base is going to be his long-term position, then keep working on that defense to get improving and let him keep improving on the bat. You never take a young player like that and have him be a pinch hitter. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. And, you know, if you want to look at whose responsibility is it, I mean, it's Buster Posey and Zach Manassian who shouldn't have him in the big leagues if the manager is going to use him in this role. If this is the role Tony Vitello is going to use him, then he cannot be there and you got to option him out, period.
I kind of agree. Like, I hate the idea of using him as a pincher. Now, he's gotten the lineup more consistently, Dan, but at the same time, I mean, this is the guy who this month, let's see, they got him at, how many at-bats he had this month? He's had 27 plate appearances this month. He's striking out 33% of them. He's hitting .083. I'm okay with Bryce Eldridge in the lineup every day and striking out every day if he is going to be in the lineup the next day. What I don't want to see is he's in the lineup 2-3 times a day, and that's when he's striking out all the time. It's just, not only is he then going to be struggling in the limited amount of time he does get, but then you're going to put him on ice for a couple days afterwards to think about those struggles rather than playing through them. It's just, I agree. You're doing him a massive disservice in his development by going about it this way.
Well, I think, again, think back to why they brought him up. This is a team that hit rock bottom. They went 0-7 on that road trip. The losses to Philadelphia, the losses to Tampa Bay. Remember where we were at in terms of the energy of this team? That they had to do something. And so bringing him up was supposed to be that shot in the arm. And you thought that he was going to play every day if he's quote-unquote the savior, which I don't think in and of itself is fair to do to that young guy. Like, will you straighten this thing out? You know, despite the fact that we got the payroll that it is what it is, we're relying on you. Here's what I would say and just push back if there is a silver lining in all of this. We talked about Ron Washington. If we're going to credit him in the turnaround and the about face with what's happened with Arise defensively, I guess the one benefit might be that Ron Washington is working with Eldridge every single day, taking ground balls at first base. Before every single San Francisco Giants game, it's Ron Washington working with Eldridge. I don't know that if Ron Washington really is the magician, he's not going to get that day-to-day sort of on-the-job training like he is right now. So from a defensive standpoint, it might make sense for him to be up here and to learn at this point. Again, I'm just trying to look at this from the other side. I get it. It doesn't make a lot of sense for him to pinch hit and not play, but also the major league experience of getting exposed to someone like that of a Ron Washington, I do think is a plus.
I do agree with that because, again, the defensively is something he's going to – that's partly his ticket to the field is being able to handle things at first base. At the same time, though, Dan, it's Eldridge's primary reason to be with this organization and be on this roster is to hit. You know, if he can't handle first base consistently, you know what? You got Rafi Devers. That's a guy who's going to be playing first base more often than not anyway. Because Rafi's a guy who he hits better when he's playing first base rather than when he's just a DH. And, Tony said in his postgame last night, he doesn't like taking Rafi out. He likes it more when Rafi is at first base. So I get the notion of it's important to have Bryce working with Wash, that his defense is get better with Wash than it would be at any other level. But I need his bat to be working more than I need his glove to be working. And if the bat isn't going to be working, the bat isn't going to be getting better at the big league level, then I think it's more indicative for him to be down at the minor league level, getting those consistent at bats. I'd rather him work on his offensive funks than his defensive funks, is what I'm saying here.
Speaking of defensive funks, and I know that they got a rotation going on at catcher, but seeing Rodriguez catch at the major league level reminds me of Luciano when he first came up and played shortstop. It looks like two guys who have never played the position before. Like, just fundamentally, it's just like, wow, you are not comfortable back there. And I'm not talking about his inability to throw out runners. I'm just talking about receiving a slider. It just does not look right. And then you think about what it is that you had in Patrick Bailey. Obviously, that's another story for another time because he couldn't hit. But Rodriguez, from a defensive standpoint, I don't know that I could roll him out there right now. Defensively, it is such a scary proposition.
That's kind of the beauty with Bryce Eldridge, though, is that you can kind of keep him at DH, so you don't need to worry about his defensive deficiencies, rearing their ugly head. Jesus Rodriguez, I mean, he's your number 2 catcher right now. Honestly, he's probably your number 3 catcher behind Eric Haas right now as the Giants go with 3 catchers. And Susak's going to be your primary catcher, probably. Not probably, most likely, most definitely. He's your best defensive receiver behind the plate. He can frame pitches, not as well as Bailey, but he can still frame. And he's got a great arm. I mean, we saw when he threw out Hunter Bolt last night. First off, they tried to get him on that pickoff play. It was Rafi just completely rolled over Bolt on that play there. And then next pitch, he guns him down. It was a great throw, great tag there by Adames. Yeah, Daniel Susac is your primary everyday catcher.
No doubt.
And he's got the bat to kind of, not the bat, but he's got enough of a bat to kind of go along with it there. But
I would like to get, again, as it gets back to hitting, because he's such a good contact hitter, at least in this brief stage, I would like Rodriguez's bat. But again, I don't know where the hell to play him because catcher ain't it.
Well, he's going to have to get better at catcher. That's going to take some time. When you got rookie catchers, there are growing pains there, but I agree. Watching him throw certain runners out, it's just like he had a couple throws, last week against the Padres, and he had a couple throws this week against the Dodgers down to second. They were just, they look like a Jake Moody kick, just going way wide left on some of these throws as Jake Moody catches the straighter.
John Lester, when it got to a point
where he couldn't throw to first, yeah.
And it got to a point where everybody would just steal on it. Mm-hmm. It's like even if you didn't have speed, go. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to that point with Rodriguez when he's catching. Like, if you get on first, you got a green light against this guy. Just run.
Yeah.
Just run.
Well, that's why, again, I think most days, this is just going to be another, there's so many log jams on this team that they got to figure out, Dan. There's the Bryce Eldridge log jam, and now you got a catching log jam, too, because you're going to want to get Jesus Rodriguez into the lineup. I mean, the bat for Rodriguez is promising. He can play other positions, but again, we're trying to figure out how do you get Bryce Eldridge onto the field, how you get Jesus Rodriguez now onto the field as well. And you called up both those guys last week, and you don't really have any spots for them. And it presents itself, Dan, as just a confusing series of events of an organization that doesn't seem to know how to get out of the mess that they're in right now.
Well, I think that we're sort of sugaring this thing, and maybe because we don't want to point a finger at Buster Posey. And I don't think this is, we'll find out, I think, in due time, whether Buster Posey and some of the moves he's made, especially the trades, were something that he's, rightfully should take ownership of making bad moves. So the jury is still a little out there. But what it is that you're sort of dancing around is that the construct of this current team is a mess.
Oh, it's a very, very flawed team.
It's absolute, but the construction of it, just as you mentioned, with, okay, I got Devers, but I already had Eldridge, and I need Casey Schmitz at bat. All these log jams that you're referring to, that's on the guy who's put this thing together. That's on the guy who has orchestrated this roster. Mm-hmm. Those log jams and all of this sort of like, hey, this is a little loony. That falls on the shoulders of only one guy, first name Buster.
No, you're right, and that's I hear you on that there, and there's so many. I don't know how they figure that out.
What do you think of Devers' defense? It's gotten better, but he's another one where it looks so awkward at times, and it looks so unorthodox. Sometimes he's stepping on the bag with the wrong foot, throw from the knees, but he sort of like gets the job done in a weird way. Like, my confidence is beginning to grow a little bit more with this guy, even though it just looks scary.
You know how I describe his defense, Dan? Solid enough, good enough, passable, sort of passable.
Which is an upgrade from where he started a year ago.
If I think Rafi Devers' defense at first base, I would put it on par to what Barry Bonds' defense in left field was in like 2006 and 2007.
Well, Bonds wasn't bad, and then it got to the point where he couldn't move.
Yeah, it's a passable-ish enough defense if you got a good enough guy next to him there. Getting back to this Bryce Eldridge thing, though, because, again, that's just, I think, the thing that's been frustrating Giants fans the most. 2 weeks ago, Dan, he was called up, and it seemed like there's this shot across the bow to all the veterans in terms of, like, hey, playing time's at a premium now. We got guys here who are willing to take your spot. And since then, though, that hasn't really been, I think, honored a little bit. Like, Chapman's lost a couple days here and there. He's, I guess, been the guy who suffered there, but you're not getting Willie Adames any off days, even though Tony Vitello said last week that some guys have to set their ego aside and maybe take a day off or so. And it's just, it seemed like the Giants were sending this message when Bryce Eldridge was getting called up. And by struggling to find consistent playing time for him, it feels like they're kind of, they're undercutting their own message here. And again, Bowden was asked about that earlier this week on Will and Dibs, and he said he was just clearly at a loss with what they're doing on this one.
I can't imagine this being anyone's decision, so I'm totally lost on this one. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. I don't understand when you got guys like Bruce Bochy and Dusty Baker and all these guys around that have done this for a long, long time. Two managers that are Hall of Famers. I don't understand why their voices aren't being heard, because to bring up a young kid and not play him, he won't develop, he won't get better. So what do you have? He's not going to get better sitting in the dugout on a losing team. You're not going to get better. You got to play. You got to play. And for him, if he's going to be the first baseman, he's got a lot of work to do defensively. And he's got to shore up some holes at the plate. So develop him. Maybe by September he comes up and hits you 6 homers in the month of September. It makes no sense to me, and I just don't understand it. If I'm Tony Vitello and he's on my roster, I got to play him first every day, even though Casey Schmidt's been my best hitter, right? Devers has to DH. Otherwise, if I'm Buster Posey, I don't know why he's here. If I'm Zach Manassian, I don't know why he's here. Send him out and play. You can't let him sit. I don't get it. Sorry. This is one that there's no explanation.
The thing that kind of low-key has been complicating all of this is the rise of Casey Schmidt. I don't think the Giants in any way, shape, or form saw Casey forcing his way into the lineup as well as he has this year. That has kind of low-key screwed things up a little bit.
Yeah, but you could
in a good way, I guess.
You could say that he had already emerged when they decided to bring him up.
That's true.
In other words, they knew what it is that they were sort of in store for. And listen, I hear what Bowden's saying, and I think he speaks for a lot of people, but he sounds also a little, I won't say outdated. It's just sounds a little old school. And I would think that Buster Posey and company are thinking in terms of something along the lines of again, getting an opportunity to work with Wash and also getting a sniff of Major League Baseball so we can work you in. I get it. It does not look good at this point, but there just seems to be a sniff of Bowden who's still living in 1985 in terms of like rookies play every day. I get it. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes I hear guys and it just sounds as though they're living in a different era when you're referencing guys like Dusty Baker, a hell of a manager. So is, we all love Boch, but we're trying to turn a new page and move forward in some levels.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that, Bowden seems old-fashioned. I kind of agree with you on that, Dan. And here's what he said about how he would be handling things if he was the general manager of the Giants.
Why in the world is Devers, Chapman, Adames not hit?
Okay.
How can the Giants be last in runs scored? You guys are there every day. You tell me. When I was a GM, I'd be firing all these people.
Okay.
I'm not watching this anymore. Someone's got to be held accountable. It's friggin' the middle of May, and none of them are hitting. So I know Devers is now, but you understand my point. I'm not there to know the hitting coaches. I'm not there to know the analytic people. I'm not there to know what the technical people are doing. I'm not getting it. But I know what Devers is. He's 29 years old, and last year when he hit 35 and drove in 100, that's what he is. So he should be 30-100. So why isn't he hitting? Why does Matt Chapman have one home run? Why is Willie Adames not hitting? I want new voices. I want someone to come in here and fix it. It's getting late. Like, this should at least be a 500 team.
So, again, I thought that was a bit of an aggressive take. You're not firing anybody on this coaching staff. You just hired them all, for crying out loud. But also at the same time, it's like, Dan, I feel like we're right back where we were last year. We're pointing at the coaching staff because the hitters aren't performing.
Yeah, that's silly what he just said. All respect about him, but that's exactly what it is. And I had no idea that you were going to play that clip, nor did I get an opportunity to hear him. Was it the Morning Roast?
That was on Willard and Dibbs.
Yeah.
I want to say it was on Wednesday.
He sounds like, and we love our callers, but he sounded like, Joe from Concord. Just fire everybody.
Who's Richie in Queens? Is Richie going to call in today?
Yeah, it's one of those Brubaker. He just, first of all, where can you move those guys? Chapman's not going anywhere. You can't fire him. I know he's talking about coaches, but you can't move off of him. And if Bowden at the time, if he really wants to be that guy, if he at the time said, I think it's a bad idea to resign Chapman at third base because I can foresee that he's going to tail off and support it with whatever numbers you want. Or if you thought at the good time, Bowden, that it wasn't right to go get Willie Adames, even though you were at that time you had Nick Ahmed as your starting shortstop. If he was to have spoken up 2 years ago and said, I think the Giants should go in another direction at shortstop, and it shouldn't be Willie Adames that you're going to sign for all this money. No, by the way, Devers is not a good trade. After the fact, just get in line because we got callers in front of you because that's what you sound like. You just sound like another guy who's just saying, fire these dudes and the team sucks. All right, well, thanks. Let's go to line 3 now. And
there you go.
Yeah, get to the other caller.
That was Jim out in New York here. Let's go to Mitch, New Jersey. Here's the problem. That I don't remember him being anti the Chapman signing. I like the Chapman extension when it did happen because I am a Matt Chapman fan. He's a guy I think you always want in your lineup. But also, Dan, you look at who else the Giants could have, and we can get into some more on the other side. Like Graham Prisby, I thought, wrote a pretty good piece for The Athletic earlier this week about how, if you're mad at these contracts, don't be. Because if the Giants hadn't signed Chapman, Adames, and then made the trade for Devers, they just would have had someone else. Eldridge probably could have handled first base, but they don't have any other ready-to-go shortstops in the minor leagues. Iverson Arteaga is probably your best option in the minor leagues right now. He's still a year or two away. Third base is even more of a black hole. You got no one. You had maybe you got Parks Harbor is your next man up at third base in the minor leagues. But Dan, Parks Harbor wasn't a Giant until last August when he was in the Doval trade. So that's why you bring in a guy like Adames and Chapman is that you don't have any options in your minor leagues that you could plug in there. So it's either Adames and Chapman are your options at shortstop and third, or you would have brought in lesser tier free agents who would be just as frustrating, albeit for less money and less years.
Yeah, before we get out of here, it's sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because isn't that the very reason we went after Farhan? Because he was not pulling the trigger on big free agents and getting the sort of names. So, again, we want to point a finger at somebody. Yep. Just hit the damn ball.
I do think this is a situation where the players just need to play better. On the other side, again, I mentioned Willie Adames, Dan. I want to get your thoughts about what happened with him on the base pass the other night and the lack of, accountability or punishment the Giants levied on him, if those are the correct words. We'll get into it on the other side. It's brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
No one plans to call a lawyer, but a lot of people wish they had sooner. Because after an accident, the clock starts immediately. Insurance companies move fast. They call, they record, they push for answers. And one wrong move, saying too much, signing too early, trusting the process, that can cost you thousands. That's why waiting is the biggest mistake you can make. Call Beam Law first, before you speak to insurance, before you agree to anything, before you risk your case. This just isn't a claim. It's your recovery, your income, your future. Beam Law has recovered millions for clients across the Bay Area and has been named Best of the Bay by SF Weekly 4 times. If you've been injured or lost someone due to someone else's negligence, please don't wait. Call Beam Law now at 415-523-5555. 415-523-5555. That's 415-523-5555. Or visit hurtinthebay.com. That's hurtinthebay.com, because it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get back up. Beam Law, they've got your back, Bay Area.
This is Larry Flick, owner of The Floor Store. For 40 years, Memorial Day has been our biggest sale of the year, and we're making this one count. Up to 50% off every product store-wide. That's carpet, hardwood, laminate, waterproof flooring, and much more. 0% financing for 2 full years. Plus, we pay your sales tax on everything. The Floor Store's Memorial Day sale. It's on, and it's big. Visit floorstores.com to find your nearest Bay Area showroom. From Santa Rosa to San Jose, The Floor Store, your Bay Area flooring authority.
Invest your tax refund in your home with Golden State Lumber and Showroom. Upgrade with Milgard windows and patio doors and get up to $100 back on patio doors and up to $40 per window, depending on the series. Hurry, this offer ends June 8th. Connect with us at goldenstatelumber.com. The first 50 customers who mention this radio ad get free delivery. Golden State Lumber and Showroom. When you succeed, we succeed.
Yeah, Dan Dibley here for Fremont Bank, which, as you know by now, it's my bank, and it has been for more than 6 years. And I love this bank because it's a family-owned bank with the family-owned feel. They started back in 1964, and when they did that, it was just one branch, but now they have 21 branches. So if you go around in your Bay Area, you're going to find a Fremont Bank branch, and you're going to see it, and you're going to think, you know what? I want that full-service banking with no compromises, and you should. It's not a big box bank. It's a good local bank. And when you deposit your money with Fremont Bank, they reinvest it locally into businesses, philanthropy, home ownership, all the good stuff that makes our Bay Area the best area in all of the country. And that's why you should be a Fremont Bank customer. The money stays here. It's local. It's not a big box bank. It's a good, solid local bank. And we talk about Fremont Bank, and you know that they're here for you and here for good.
Right now is the perfect time to head to Saramonte Ford. Huge selection, big savings, and straight up great deals. They've got a lineup of brand new Fords ready to roll. Trucks, SUVs, and hybrids, all priced to move. Whether you're buying or leasing, Saramonte Ford makes it easy, fast, and stress-free. So don't wait. Stop in person right off 280 in Colma, or online 24/7 at SaramonteFord.com. That's SaramonteFord.com. Saramonte Ford, your San Francisco Bay Area Ford dealer.
Struggling to lose weight despite trying every diet? You're not alone, and there's a better way. At Prime Male Medical, they're helping men and women achieve real, lasting weight loss results with expert medical support every step of the way. And for a limited time, listeners can get started for their first visit, including full blood work, plus first month of GLP-1 treatments for only $199, a savings of $400. Call 415-761-4037 or go to primemalemedical.com.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/protect. That's ethos.com/protect. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
You know the feeling. It's 2 a.m. You're awake, running the numbers in your head. Payroll's coming. A client hasn't paid. Costs just went up. And you're thinking, how am I going to make this work? That's where LendSeek comes in.
That was me. I had payroll in 3 days and money tied up in receivables. I couldn't wait weeks for a bank. I went to LendSeek, and within minutes, I saw real funding options. They were clear, upfront, no games. By the next day, the money was in my account, Payroll went out, crisis over.
LendSeek uses AI to match your business with the right funding, up to $5 million in as fast as 24 hours.
With LendSeek, it's not just funding, it's knowing you're covered when things get tight.
If you've been in business for at least 1 year with at least $500,000 annual revenue, apply today. No upfront costs, no prepaid penalties. Because in business, waiting isn't an option. Start ready, stay ready with LendSeek. Apply at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Now, back to the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. The best Giants talk in the Bay on 95.7 The Game.
We are back on the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. Sam Lubman here alongside Dan Devone, coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. And Dan, let's get into one of the bigger events that happened this week. It happened on, what was that? Would have been Wednesday night, I believe. All these days start to blend together when you do a morning show.
It's against Shohei Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was against Shohei Wednesday night. It was the seventh inning. Giants had a smidgen of a rally going. First and second with one out when it was Drew Gilbert hit a fly ball out to left center. Andy Pages caught it. Threw to second base, double up Willy Adames, who either lost track of the outs, thought the ball was going to get down. I don't know about that, the way that ball was in the air. I don't know how you're not going at least halfway. I don't know how you're assuming that ball's going to get down. Ended up getting doubled off. Wasn't paying attention to how many outs there were. And also was caught on camera that he was kind of, chatting it up with Mookie Betts in between pitches there. Dan, I'm sure you had a chance to go back and take a look at that whole snafu there that happened on Wednesday night. What did you make of Willy Adames getting doubled up there after chatting it up with Mookie Betts?
Listen, I get it. I get why people are frustrated, but I think that's the operative word, is that we're just frustrated. And when you're in a situation like this and you want to point a finger and you want to go after somebody, whether it's, again, Buster Posey, whether it's Tony Vitello, whether it's some of the players, and you do something as egregious as what it is that Willy Adames did, well, the knives out. Like, are you kidding me? All of this pent-up frustration, all of this pent-up sort of anger I have at the Giants and their inability to hit, well, now I have a reason to just absolutely vent and unload on somebody, because that's clearly a mistake. You're clearly talking it with Mookie Betts, and everybody unleashes because they found their scapegoat. And I think a lot of that is what was going on with the Willy Adames taking the brunt of the verbal darts from everyone. I don't have an issue with Vitello not benching him. I think he has to have the conversation like, Willie, what's going on here? That can't happen, my man. But I'm not in favor of benching Willy Adames. He's clearly the leader on that team. He's a dude who's been in this league too long. I know it probably goes counter to what it is that you guys were saying in the morning roast, but I think he's deserved the respect that we're at the majors now, all right? This isn't Pony League. This isn't St. Ignatius, even at the high school level. Shout out Wildcats. But this is a guy that has been a proven leader on this baseball team.
I agree, and I think
you agree?
I do agree. If you had asked me Tuesday morning, my feeling on Tuesday morning, Dan, wasn't so much
Thursday morning.
Thursday. All these days are the same to me at this point. Today's Saturday, right? And my name is Sam. As I last checked.
Yeah, and you're wearing an Indiana hat on your head. I don't know if you noticed.
I did notice that. Again, let me refresh on that one again for those who are just joining in and are watching on YouTube, wondering why proud University of Miami alum Sam Lubman is wearing a Indiana Hoosiers beanie this morning, is because I am honoring my bet to Indiana's finest, Zach Green, Caddy Zach, as we like to call him. He's feeling himself behind the glass right now because of it, because as we all remember, Miami and Indiana met in the national championship game on the same night that Jimmy Butler tore his ACL, of all places, of all things. And Miami lost that game, and so as a result, I got to wear this Hoosiers hat while I do my orange and black weekend wrap. So I am honoring my bet, and that is what we're doing. And it is it's kind of warm in the studio. This is not a fun day to be wearing a beanie in the studio. I had an option between this beanie hat, this beanie Dan, or this like little tiny Indiana Hoosiers hat that Zach also brought in. The reason I took the beanie Dan is because this hat that Zach offered me probably had every single drop of sweat that he has ever had come out of his head in that hat. I was like, dude, no, I am not wearing this gnarly, crusty Indiana hat with all your golf sweat stains in it. So, yeah, thanks for bringing in the most gnarly hat ever, Zach. But anyway, yeah, that's why I'm doing it here. Back to Willy Adames, though. I wasn't so much on the train of you got to bench Willy Adames. Because when I think benching in baseball, to me, that's you're not in the lineup today. You're not in the lineup tomorrow. You might be in the lineup the day after that, but you're not going to be in the lineup the day after that. Like, a benching is you're out of the lineup for several games for a long period of time. But I was very much in favor for, you know what, let's just give him a day off here. He's pressing still, clearly. His I don't want to say his head isn't in the game, but I think the slow start, the struggles he's having at the plate, they're wearing on him a bit. I do think there is something to be said about a guy who's 29 going on 30 years old, wants to play every day. Dude, take a day. Take a mental reset, get back out the next day, and get going. That being said, I do get why Tony kept him back in the lineup. I think in hindsight, it was probably the right move to do. Willie is swinging the bat better this month, but at the same time also, Dan, when you screw up like that, whether it's in baseball or just every day in your everyday job, I think everybody can say that when you screw up at work, you want to get in there the next day and undo it. Or you want to get in there the next day and have a good day that kind of puts that bad day, puts that mistake further into the past. And to have a day to sit on that mistake, I can understand why maybe Tony Vitello did not want to do that to Willy Adames.
Yeah, and I think there's a respect that's garnered at a certain point as a major leaguer, and especially Willy Adames, who since his arrival with the Giants, win or lose, he has taken on this leadership role and has been, people always talk about his infectious personality. Well, keep in mind, for those of you that aren't familiar with Willy Adames, this isn't just relegated to the Giants. There are people in Milwaukee. I remember when he left, there were fans that were in tears. And I remember, because I knew about Willy Adames, but I had no idea what it is that he meant to the community. And now I get it. Now he's here in San Francisco. So this isn't a facade. This isn't a phony, so to speak, to steal a line from Seinfeld, shout out. But this is a guy who is legitimately a leader, legitimately, I think, is pretty genuine from day one. He's been the same guy, whether the team slumps, whether he slumps. And I think you need to reward that at the end of the day. Like, I think you got to say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because this is obviously, you're not a player that has a tendency to do this with any sort of frequency. If it was Elliot Ramos, I don't know, maybe an entirely different story. But I think that I'm giving Willy Adames the other benefit of the doubt. And the other thing is, because I know what accentuated a lot of that was the chattering and the back and forth with Mookie Betts, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's what really sort of put it over the edge.
I think it's the fact he was chattering with Mookie Betts and the fact that he was chattering with the Dodger, too. And the fact that you did it against the Dodgers. That kind of heightens it. I think it's, if he had did this against the Brewers or if he had done this against the Reds or the Diamondbacks, I don't think it hits as hard. Because remember, the other weekend, Dan, he was chopping it up with Junior Camareno on the infield. And I was annoyed by that, but I was like, you know what? He played with Junior. That's understandable. I don't know when he ever crossed paths with Mookie, but, Willie's a friendly guy. He likes to chat with people. But it's the fact that he did it against the Dodgers. Dan, for the longest time, I was furious with Wilmer Flores. You remember that era. I just could not stand him on this team because he had one of the all-time brain farts back in 2020 where it was against the A's. There's a grounder to first. He fails to step on second, tries to throw to first, or tries to throw to second, where I believe it was Crawford was covering second. Crawford didn't tag second base because he didn't realize there wasn't a force out there. He ended up getting no outs. That whole ninth inning collapse with Trevor Gott on the mound happened, and then Giants lose to the A's. And I always blamed Wilmer Flores for that. And it was just like, you can't screw up against the A's like that. You can't screw up in the Bay Bridge series like that. And Wilmer Flores, he was on my out list for a long time because of it. There are just certain teams that when you screw up against them, it carries more weight. And that's what Willie did. He screwed up against the worst team you could screw up against in the worst place you can do it, in Dodger Stadium, talking to one of the worst guys you could possibly do it to in Mookie Betts. It was just a trifecta of awful right there from Willie. That's what made it worse for me.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I think that when we talk about rivalry, it's a rivalry for people like you, but I'm curious for guys that just, it's laundry, right? At the end of the day. Like for a guy like Willie Adames, it's a new uniform and it's a new contract. I don't know. Maybe they're taught at the beginning of the year, hey, listen, when it's the Dodgers, you're in San Francisco now. I know you're not from these parts, and you certainly know about it, but there's certain things we do and don't do. Maybe that sort of protocol has to be put in place. But for a lot of these guys, they're friendly with these guys, and they're not even conscious that it is the Dodgers and we're in Los Angeles. It's just Mookie Betts. He's a good dude. We chop it up during the offseason. And so I think we have to take into account that the rivalry is something that means a lot to Giant fans and maybe Dodger fans, and more so Giant fans, but not as much to the players. And the other thing that I would mention when you want to go after him for hamming it up with Mookie Betts, I think part of the reason that this hasn't come to fruition, but he does a lot of sort of inadvertently recruits players because he's so friendly. And Devers was coming to the Giants regardless, but Devers said, well, what do you know about San Francisco? What do you know about the Giants? One of the first things he mentions is Willie Adames. He's like, I like that guy.
Oh, Willie was huge in getting him acclimated to this clubhouse last year. And I think Willie said when he first signed here, like, I'm willing to go out and recruit guys here. I hear you're saying there, Dan, but Mookie Betts is not going to get recruited to the Giants
he's not getting
soon,
traded. You know? No. I'm just using that as an example because you mentioned, Junior Caminero. And again, I don't know his status, but those relationships, when they're thinking about, well, where should I go? And then Willie reaches out and says, hey, why don't you come over here? Oh, it's Willie Adames, a guy that I've been able to forge this relationship because he is somebody that has that sort of that magnetic personality. So I think some of that's going on there. Again, I'm not giving it a pass. Dude, you're too much of a smart baseball player and you've been around too long to forget how many damn outs there are. And I do think you have to have that conversation. I don't care who you are as a player, right? You as a manager, I still have to sit you down in the clubhouse and say, hey, that can't happen. Right?
No, absolutely. And I think you mentioned, Dan, just with this rivalry here, it's a rivalry with the fans, not so much the players. I think that adds to the frustration of it in that we want the players to care about every aspect of this game as much as we do. We me, I hate the Dodgers. I don't like their fans. I don't like their ballpark. I don't like their stupid uniforms and that stupid little, wacky inflatable arm flailing two-man dance they do on second base. I hate it. And I hate it most because I wish we were that good. I wish we were the team that was, pissing off the rest of the league because of how good we are. Like, we as Giants fans, we want the players to emulate our emotions. I want Willie Adames to dislike the Dodgers as much as I do. But it's never going to be that way because I'm not friends with Mookie Betts. I've never talked to Mookie Betts, and like I know Logan Webb, he's friends with Blake Snell. I've seen Logan chopping it up with Blake Snell before games. Before the games. That's when you do it. That's when you go and chat with your buddies on the other team. When you're warming up in the field pregame, that's when you go and say what's up to Mookie Betts. And I know Buster Posey, he is a guy, he is not a fan of chopping it up with guys on the other team during games. Buster's much more old-fashioned that way. So that's where I'm kind of curious about how the Giants handled this year. Because Willie even said after the game on Wednesday night, like, yeah, if I got distracted by everybody I talked to, that would happen a couple times a week, which, like, I don't know if that really makes me feel better, Willie. But if that's who you are, I get that, but we just got to rein it in a little bit. I'm kind of old-fashioned, too. I don't like, exchanging pleasantries with your opponent during games. If you want to talk smack to them, go ahead. But, like, joking around, enjoying the game with each other, stuff like that, I don't like that because then you get a situation like this where you are thrown out on the bases because you may or may not have been paying attention. Whether or not you were or not, the optics on the outside looking in, what the fans are seeing is you're not as committed to this as I am as a fan. That's not true, though, by the way. Obviously, Willie is committed. But what the fan is feeling is that I want you guys to beat the Dodgers more than you do. And no fan should ever feel that way, whether that situation is true or not.
There used to be an edict in baseball that you couldn't even, it was frowned upon, and actually it went as far as a rule where you could not do that before games. At batting practice, if you were fraternizing with the opposing team.
Oh, really?
Major League, oh, yeah. Because they don't want to give away the impression that, especially when it comes to someone like that, Willie Adames, is like, hey, I'm making a lot of money. Mookie Betts is making a lot of money. Hey, we win, we lose, whatever. You play for the Dodgers, play for the Giants.
And that's a great way to put it. We win, we lose, whatever. I hate that mentality.
It tears the very fabric of the sport, right? So they always, in Major League Baseball was aware of this, is that we can't have you guys before at the batting practice or wherever just chopping it up with your buddies, because we have to at least give the impression that you're there to beat them. And again, it's for what it is that you just laid out. You're playing to the fans. You're playing to the consumers. If I'm a Dodger fan, I want to know that you hate San Francisco. And just getting back to the rivalry, I was talking about this past week, and somebody said, he was from down south. He's like, you guys hate us more than we hate you. And I'm like, yeah, because at the end of the day, if I was to go to my sports shrink, it's envy, man. It's like I've been freezing my ass off at Candlestick Park, which predates you, back in the day when we were terrible. And you guys, every time I turn on a TV, all these pretty people with tans and cosmetic surgery, and you're leaving early from games. It's like, and it's 75 degrees every day. Yeah, maybe it's not hatred, maybe it's envy, but I still hate you nevertheless. I mean, I think it's interesting to sort of pinpoint where the hatred and the origin comes from as Giant fans.
Oh, absolutely. It's just kind of the hatred that you're born into, Dan. You're born into it, molded by it, so to speak, as I quote Bane. But
you're right. The Freeman, but they always do something like, it's always them. The Freeman dance, you know where it came from? Freddie Freeman, who I don't like, because he's almost like the reincarnate of Steve Garvey. Not as bad.
I never thought of that, Dan. That's
he's so
great
nice.
call.
He's such the perfect human being.
Oh, everybody loves him. He's always been said he is the most fun first baseman to talk to during games.
And for that reason, I hate him. And so
he's got that big old teeth too.
Yeah, and the perfectly coiffed hair. No, but you know where the little dance from? So he went to a wedding and he was dancing like, pardon, I don't mean to go here, but like a white dude. He just had the hands up.
I dance that same way too.
And so somebody from the team saw him. They started to imitate him. And now it's something that every player, dude, miss me with that. I'm right there with you. That makes me want to project hellfire.
Are you a dancer at weddings?
I used to be. Yeah, I mean, I can go a little bit. I'll Cabbage Patch if you want me to right now.
What's Cabbage Patching? Is that a kind of dance?
Myself, yeah.
You threw. I mean, I know what a Cabbage Patch Kid is. But I don't. Well, now I'm curious. Why do you Cabbage Patch at a wedding?
I'm not giving any examples. No, I can.
Okay.
I can give me a dance that's currently. I always get these from football players.
I don't have like a specific dance.
Yeah, what
I
are
just
they
mean
doing in the end zone?
I mean, I was just. the gritty or whatever?
Gritty, yeah.
You do the gritty at the weddings, Dan?
I couldn't, but I could learn. Like, I would bust out a gritty. I'm not afraid to, like, go gritty. Just got to know what the hell it is I'm doing.
Oh, no, I mean, here,
and don't want to dislocate a hip. And
I'm not doing, like, any specific dances at weddings. You just get on the dance floor and let the music move your body,
Gotta go.
We had our guy, nice guy, Stephen Langford, who does sports at KCBS. He had his wedding at Boundary Oak a couple years ago, and so I got the invite for that, and you get a couple drinks in me, Dan. I'll be all over that dance floor. I want to see. Absolutely. Actually, my friend's wedding, my friend Kevin and Christine, they got married a few years ago up in Oregon when they lived up there, and I was privileged enough to be the best man for that wedding, and so I'm helping set up everything before the wedding and stuff like that. So you get to know the wedding bartender a little bit, and then during the ceremony, I just kind of go up to him, like, "Hey, man, got these bottles of champagne here. How about you hand me a couple of those things?" And I just do my thing with them. He's like, "Hold on a second." Opens the door, sets the bottle outside, looks the other way, like, all right, I know what we're doing here. And that's how I was making everyone take bottle pulls on the dance floor. I'm a horrible influence at weddings. I probably shouldn't be saying this on air.
I can see you out there doing your thing because you don't have a lot of inhibitions as a person.
I have some.
Well, I'm sure you do.
Some.
But I could see you just saying, hey, man, I'm letting her rip. If you don't like it, you want to talk, that's fine. Because just sort of your personality, it's sort of, it's an extension of that.
I try to again. It's a wedding. We're supposed to be having fun with those situations. You're supposed to laugh and chop it up at weddings. It's not like it's a Giants-Dodger game where you got to be locked in. Spadoni and I, we talked to Chris Rose earlier this week him of John Boy Media, NFL Network, BattleBots. Also, he does American Gladiator. Dan, American Gladiator is back. He does that as well. And we asked him about this rivalry, and I do think the issue with the Giants-Dodgers rivalry right now, it does kind of tie into the frustration of Willie chopping it up with Mookie. Here's what Chris had to say about the Giants-Dodgers rivalry.
Well, give me a rivalry in the sport. I mean, don't tell me Red Sox-Yankees because that's what everybody had said. It's not. I mean, they played in the 3-game playoff last year, so that was cool. That's where the rivalry kind of got rekindled. That's the only way these rivalries are going to mean anything now. Really, in my opinion, is if there's something at stake. 2021, when the Dodgers and Giants played in the playoffs, that was freaking awesome to watch. As just a baseball fan, I know it didn't go your way, but you guys won, 106 games that year? 107, yeah, and it was a great, great series. Goes 5 games. Like, that was some amazing stuff. That's what rekindles the rivalry. Don't give me this stuff like 13 games a year is going to do it. It's just not. There's too many playoff spots up for grabs. If both teams, great, one wins the division, the other one, all card. So until it's do or die time with the season on the line, it just doesn't have the same feeling for me.
So that's kind of thing. The rivalry needs more stakes, and like the reason why Dodgers Padres is considered a better rivalry than Giants Dodgers right now is because the Dodgers and Padres, granted this is in 2022, but they had that epic playoff series in the division series a few years ago, and one of my favorite gifs is this entire decade, Dan, is that gif of the Padre fan celebrating. He turns to the Dodger fan and then flips him the bird right in his face. And I feel like that just completely encapsulates the rivalry between the Padres and the Dodgers. There's real animosity there between both teams. Both those teams do not like each other because of what was ignited in that playoff series a few years ago. That 2021 series, it didn't really ignite anything between the Giants and the Dodgers because the Giants didn't really do their part in following up on it. They didn't stay good after that series and stay in the mix of things. So there were never any stakes when the Giants and Dodgers met. And that's kind of where, where things are at right now. There are no stakes, so there is no animosity. So there has been no moment that took place in the postseason that would have Willie Adames and Mookie Betts at odds with each other. And as a result of that, you have a rivalry that is a rivalry kind of a name only, because nothing's happened to spark any of that just animosity or adversity that comes from a true rivalry.
All of that being said, I still think that, again, when you're born into this, it's a SoCal, no-Cal sort of thing. You just don't like Los Angeles. I remember when I was a kid and they had Garvey, Say, and Lopes and the Dusty Baker. The Giants were losing 100 games a year in 1985, 86, whatever. When I was a child, I mean, the Giants sucked, and the Dodgers and Tommy Lasorda would come into town, and he'd hug it out with every one of his players after a home run. But there was a rivalry, or so I'd like to think. Like, if you beat the Dodgers in one of those games, which is rare, it's like we just beat the effing Dodgers, even though the Giants and the Dodgers, were certainly not on par. And I think he sort of carries over to the Rams and the Niners. Rose is right. That accentuates the rivalry. But I just simply think that for a lot of these rivalries, it has to do with proximity, and a lot of it has to do with location and where does it you live in respect to the team that you're playing. There's sort of built-in rivalries just in and of itself that are organic when it comes to Los Angeles and your freeways and Hollywood and winking and doing lunch. To us here in Northern California, we live in a fog. We're more real. However it is you want to dress it up, I do think that that's real, and I think it sort of plays out through the two teams.
Speaking of regional rivalries, Giants are playing the A's this weekend. On the other side, we're going to talk to Kyle Madsen, our friend out in 1320 ESPN Radio out in Sacramento, our Odyssey sister station out there. He does their 10 to 12 show with James Ham out there, and he's also a huge A's fan, Dan. And much like the A's, he also moved to Sacramento not that long ago. So we're going to chat with him on the other side. We used to do shows with Madsen back in the day here at 95.7 The Game. So we'll have a little bit of a reunion amongst former weekend employees here at 95.7 on the other side and get his thoughts on the Giants-A's rivalry and just kind of the sorry state of the Giants as a whole. So we're going to talk to Kyle for a little bit on the other side, and I do want to dive into this A's-Giants rivalry just a little bit, Dan. I'm curious how much that rivalry resonates with you, because it was always a big rivalry for me as a kid growing up, so I want to pick your brain on that on the other side. All that is brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
In the market for a new mattress but overwhelmed by all the options? At Mattress Firm, we make it easy. Just drop in, answer a few questions, and our sleep experts will guide you to your perfect mattress. And with options for every budget and free and fast delivery, it's no wonder more shoppers choose Mattress Firm than any other mattress specialty retailer. And now through Monday, save up to 60% on Sealy. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Discover Silverado Resort, Napa Valley's playground for those who love to stay, play, and recharge. Tee it up with 36 holes of championship golf, rally on the tennis and pickleball courts, or train like a pro in the newly renovated fitness center, restore in the refreshed spa and recovery lounge, and refuel at the soon-to-open Match Play kitchen and bar. With newly renovated rooms, it's the ultimate escape. If it's been years since your last visit, rediscover Silverado Resort, a renewed Napa Valley original. Book your staycation today. Visit SilveradoResort.com.
UFC fans, listen up. Want to win the ultimate UFC fan experience? Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC, is sending 4 lucky winners to Washington, D.C. for a VIP UFC Freedom 250 Fan Fest experience. We're talking travel, VIP access, and so much more. Text TOTAL to 23955 to enter for your chance to win. No purchase necessary. Data rates may apply. Ends May 19th. Entrance must be resident of the 50 U.S. or D.C. 18 plus. Official rules at TotalPowerSweeps.com.
Wendy's new Biggie Deals lets you choose whatever you're in the mood for. It's like a music mixing board of deals, and you're the producer. Go with some chill folk music with a JBC in the $4 Biggie Bite snack. Try the drum and bass of deals with a double stack in the $6 Biggie bag. Or go full-on sandwich symphony with an $8 Biggie bundle, the grand finale of snacking. And the best part? They all come with napkins. $4, $6, and $8 Biggie Deals how you want them at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska, California, and Hawaii.
Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home. Yeah, Dan Dibley here for Fremont Bank, which, as you know by now, it's my bank, and it has been for more than 6 years. And I love this bank because it's a family-owned bank with the family-owned feel. They started back in 1964, and when they did that, it was just one branch, but now they have 21 branches. So if you go around in your Bay Area, you're going to find a Fremont Bank branch, and you're going to see it, and you're going to think, you know what? I want that full-service banking with no compromises, and you should. It's not a big box bank. It's a good local bank. And when you deposit your money with Fremont Bank, they reinvest it locally into businesses, philanthropy, home ownership, all the good stuff that makes our Bay Area the best area in all of the country. And that's why you should be a Fremont Bank customer. The money stays here. It's local. It's not a big box bank. It's a good, solid local bank. And we talk about Fremont Bank, and you know that they're here for you and here for good.
You know the feeling. It's 2 a.m. You're awake, running the numbers in your head. Payroll's coming. A client hasn't paid. Costs just went up. And you're thinking, how am I going to make this work? That's where LendSeek comes in.
That was me. I had payroll in 3 days and money tied up in receivables. I couldn't wait weeks for a bank. I went to LendSeek, and within minutes, I saw real funding options. They were clear, upfront, no games. By the next day, the money was in my account. Payroll went out, crisis over.
LendSeek uses AI to match your business with the right funding, up to $5 million in as fast as 24 hours.
With LendSeek, it's not just funding, it's knowing you're covered when things get tight.
If you've been in business for at least 1 year with at least $500,000 annual revenue, apply today. No upfront costs, no prepaid penalties. Because in business, waiting isn't an option. Start ready, stay ready with LendSeek. Apply at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
The basketball playoffs are underway, and now you can trade every game on Kalshi. You can also trade on who wins each series, the conference finals, and the championship. San Antonio is trading at 21% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade pays out $451 if they take the title. On Kalshi, you're trading against other people in a live market. No house, no odds makers. And as the odds move, you can buy in and out anytime throughout the postseason. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use code FAN to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI. Kalshi. Trade on anything.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spreadsheets, clunky software, 100 different logins just to run your business? Ah.
There's a better way. Odoo. One simple, connected platform that handles sales, inventory, accounting, and more, so you can focus on growing, not juggling. Make the switch today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Now back to the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. The best Giants talk in the Bay on 95.7 The Game.
We are back on the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. We're going to be joined by our friend Kyle Madsen out on ESPN 1320 in Sacramento in just a moment, waiting for him to connect in. So we'll chat with him in a moment. Again, we're chatting with him because, again, he is out in Sacramento, where the A's play right now, and he is a really big A's fan. And Dan, we got to work with Kyle Madsen once upon a time here at 95.7 The Game. So curious to learn a little bit about the A's from him and get his overall opinion on this Giants team and the state of what this team is at right now, again, as these two teams are playing this weekend. And I'm curious, Dan, did the A's-Giants rivalry, does that ever resonate for you?
I mean, like I said in the previous segment, a lot of this is just proximity. The minute you leave and then you play in a Mickey Mouse ballpark like Sutter Health and you're representing the city of Sacramento, to me it fails to be a rivalry. Sorry. I know there's still Kelly green and gold uniforms, and there's some, I mean, there's people that still believe that there's rivalries with the teams that left New York, whether it's Brooklyn or New York.
Is our guy ready, Zach, or you're? Okay, we're still waiting on Kyle.
Right,
Zach gave me the look like he was ready, so
and then he was in my ear. So I think is Kyle big leaguing us here? He goes out to Sacramento, so he doesn't have time.
Maybe he's having trouble with connecting in or whatnot. Who knows? But I'm sure he'll show up at some point. So how about
you give a guy an afternoon gig on Sports
I think he does mornings out there 10 to 2. So I trust the Kyle will show up.
That's not mornings. Come on, that's not mornings.
I know what a real morning is. Yeah, oh God, what I would love to have a 10 to 12 shift. Or the 10 to 2 shift that Evan Giddings gets to do. I'm always so jealous that Evan gets to get in here at 8 in the morning and done at 3 or something in the afternoon. Yeah. It's just, some people just have it so good and they don't even realize it.
But the Sutter Health ballpark, I'm sorry. I know Tampa Bay played in that Mickey Mouse park a year ago, and they still do, by the way.
No, they're back at the Trop.
I know, but when you have balls that are hitting
the catwalks up there, the rings up there,
robbing it. Come on, man! What did Abner Doubleday's rolling in his grave? Like, what the hell is going on here? So it's still Mickey Mouse, but Sutter Health Park. It's hard. It's hard to fathom Major League Baseball being played in that place.
Well, what's great, Dan, is after the game ends, if you stick around for a couple minutes afterwards, you usually in most ballparks, the game ends, players retreat into the clubhouse. Well, no, after every game. When play ends, players retreat into the clubhouse, but you follow a little tunnel out of the dugout, and that's what leads you into the clubhouse, which is underneath the stands. But with games at Sutter Health Park, when the game's over, you wait a little bit, you see all the players walk across the field to the clubhouses out beyond left field. There's a college kind of feel to it, or when even the Giants spring training ballpark. The dugout, has a tunnel that goes back into the clubhouse.
Candlestick used to be that way for the visiting team.
Oh, you had to go. There wasn't a tunnel from.
You could not access the locker room from the tunnel or from the dugout. So you would see Tommy Lasorda and the Dodgers would have to pack up all their gear, all your seeds, all your gloves, and all your bats, and walk all the way to the right field wall. There'd be a little gate there, and you'd go around that little gate, and then you'd go into your locker room there. And I know that because when I was interning back in the day as a young man, I'd have to, go to the visiting locker room, which is way the hell on the other side of the field.
That's
not to mention it's a little humiliating if you're a team and you've just beaten the pants, and there'd be those those giant diehard fans that are just waiting to throw stuff at you as you make your way to the locker room. So,
well, you had, again, the bottle's usually empty. You had to drink everything in the bottle to feel warm before you threw it. So that kind of helped a little bit back in that day. But, it was a much more lawless time in that day. But have you gotten out to a game at Sutter Health Park yet?
I have not. I know you were there a couple of times last year.
I went there. I don't know. Actually, after the show today, I'm driving up to Sacramento again. I'll be at the game tonight.
You got a buddy up there, right?
Yeah, I got a friend of mine up there, so I'll be staying at his place. And I'll be honest, Dan, I kind of don't hate it. Like, I liked how close and intimate it was watching the game up there. I mean, it sucks that the A's are in that situation. And I'm still kind of hoping that John Fisher finds a way to fumble this at the goal line and screw up this move to Las Vegas, because I think the A's and Sacramento could be a great marriage up there. There's definitely a fervor for A's baseball up there. I mean, there always kind of was when the A's had their AAA team as the River Cats up there, so that already was kind of an A's town, so to speak. I can absolutely, I mean, you have to build the Dome Stadium because it's 110 degrees on a cold summer day in Sacramento. But I absolutely think that baseball in Sacramento could work.
Have you been to East Coast parks? Because you talk about the intimacy. Have you had an opportunity to go to Fenway or Yankee Stadium?
I've done the new Yankees. I've done both Yankee Stadiums, the old one and the new one. And I've done Marlins Park, or I guess now it's called, what's it called now? Lone Depot Park now is what it's called. Yeah. And then just for fun, I got to a game at a Pro Player Stadium before the Marlins moved out of there and before they renovated into what Hard Rock Stadium is like right now. So I think those are the only East Coast ballparks that I've made it to so far.
Yeah, it's a huge awakening. The reason why I asked is that if you grow up on the West Coast and you go to Giants baseball games, or you go to games out here in the West Coast, whether it was the A's and the Giants, you're just accustomed to that's the way Major League Baseball is being played. And then you go out east and you're like, holy crap, I can shake hands with the guy on the on-deck circle. The intimacy is the first thing that jumps out at you. Where's all the foul territory? What's going on here? And you're just right on top of the play, which really makes a difference. So I don't know Sutter Health Park, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. From an optical standpoint or watching it on TV, it does not translate, man. It looks Mickey Mouse.
No, it does not look great on TV. And the balls do fly out of Sacramento, again, especially because the air is so warm and dry up there as well. That's going to make the ball fly out a little bit more. But, yeah, I did like how much closer you feel to everything. And I am curious what it's like for the players who are used to a bigger of a backdrop, I guess, so to speak, or the hitters. Their batter's eye is very different at the minor league level and in the minor league ballparks and the big league ballparks. But nonetheless, I enjoyed watching the game out there last year. I hope to enjoy watching it tonight. Hopefully the Giants win. That'll probably make it a lot more enjoyable there. So, but yeah, just talk about just the whole A's-Giants rivalry. And it's rivalry for me that always struck a chord as a kid.
Is it a rivalry now?
I think it's kind of hard to say that it's a rivalry right now. I felt like what made the Giants-A's rivalry fun was that it was a Bay Area rivalry. And, when you moved them out of the region, it doesn't hit. It feels a lot like Orioles Nationals, so to speak, where, yeah, it's just, you just happen to be close to each other. That's why you're rivals now. Or Marlins Rays, where it's different when you play in the same region versus when you don't. And there was just something about that Oakland versus San Francisco, the hard toughness of Oakland versus, the swanky sophistication of San Francisco. There was just a yin and a yang there that really made it work out. And I think when you have to kind of, go halfway across the state out of Sacramento, it loses its luster there a little bit.
There's no rivalry with Sacramento.
No.
In San Francisco.
I mean, Warriors-Kings is barely a rivalry.
No, but I mean, teams aside, just in terms of the cities, even though they're both in the state of California, I don't know anybody that has a rivalry that's from San Francisco with Sacramento. Maybe Sacramento does with San Francisco, but it's not even a city, sorry, Sacramento, that registers on our map.
Not really. Again, I think it would have been a lot better if there was some between the Warriors and the Kings, because then you would have had some that could have gotten it started a little bit. But I think the problem is a lot of Kings fans are also Warriors fans. I'm curious what the overall split of that is like. So that kind of plays a part. But yeah, it's just there's nothing to get started there. So basically, it's basing it off of the rivalry that started here in the Bay Area. But I think there's a lot of Giants fans that, you know, especially like I talked about this with Shasky a lot. Like Shasky, he grew up in the city, and the A's were never really on his radar when you live all the way to the city. For me, I grew up in the East Bay.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends were A's fans, so the A's were always on top of mind because when your best friend's always wearing A's stuff, you're always thinking about the A's. And then, of course, there's only a couple times a year when your teams play each other. And so when you do, you want to there's a smack talk there that you want to be on the winning side of.
We got our guy?
Do we have our guy yet? Or okay, well, maybe, we'll try Kyle at 11 o'clock. He's texting me. He's texting me saying he's ready to go, but I don't know. Maybe we can get him on the line or something here, Zach. We'll figure it out at the break. This is what happens when you're
Can you drive in?
There you go. Yeah, it's only a quick drive there. But yeah, I think the thing with the rivalries, Dan, it was more of a rivalry between the fans, I think, than the players ever.
So wait, just to backtrack for a moment, then why did you not grow up as an A's fan?
Oh, because my dad was a Giants fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, my mom took me, my first baseball game was an A's game, and there was a brief moment where I was kind of tracking down that way. But then my dad, he took my first Giants game June 17th, 2000, day after first grade, and I was hooked from that day forward. So it was, my dad indoctrinated me into Giants fandom before anyone else could get me in on the A's. But again, when you live in the East Bay, you know, half your class is Giants, half your class is A's. And, you know, I guess when in other parts in the Bay Area, maybe South Bay where it's more Giants or more A's, or North Bay where it's more Giants, the Peninsula where it's more Giants, like maybe if you're in that region, the rivalry doesn't hit as well. But in the East Bay, it certainly was very alive and very, very strong for me growing up. And I love going to those Giants-A's games, and there's the Let's Go Oakland and the Let's Go Giants back and forth there. It was always a very spirited atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that if you really trace this rivalry going back to its roots, you know, when the A's first moved here, when was that? Like back in the late 1960s?
1968, yeah.
And then you had, the A's had that immediate sort of success in the early 70s with 3 consecutive World Series. The Giants were not very good. They played in Candlestick. They played on artificial surface. I want to say at the time the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum was new, and that was sort of the model. You would go to A's games if you were from that generation, and it was a winning franchise with Charlie O'Finley as the owner, and you were winning World Series, and you had sort of the state-of-the-art ballpark, as ridiculous as that sounds. And that script entirely flipped with, obviously, the new park here in San Francisco and Oracle being Oracle. And then all of a sudden, things became very outdated out in Oakland. And it just became this small little subculture of hardcore fans that it was us against the rest of the world in this small market. Meanwhile, San Francisco transposed into being this big market team, which was sort of a destination, this new park, state-of-the-art with all these beautiful restaurants. And the Coliseum was the Coliseum, and the A's were the A's with Moneyball, et cetera. So they really sort of changed personalities over the decades.
Yeah. Just quick note, we are going to have Kyle on at 11 o'clock now instead of, well, would have been 10:30. So readjusting schedule a little bit here. We will endear onward. Again, talk about this A's-Giants rivalry. 888-957-9570. Did this rivalry ever resonate with you, Giants fans, or does it still resonate with you, or is it basically dead now because the A's live in Sacramento? So that's where it is there. Damon Chang on YouTube. The Coliseum was so nice in the 80s. Oh, that it was, Dan. I unfortunately never got to see what the Coliseum was like prior to the Raiders moving back. What about you? Did you ever get to the
Oh, yeah, before Mount Davis?
Yeah. Well, what do you remember about the Coliseum prior to Mount Davis?
It was one of the most picturesque parks. That might be an overstatement, but it was Mount Davis is just like, suddenly it's like it enclosed that whole place, and it just felt uncomfortable. But you used to be able to see the Oakland Hills. It was picturesque. It was beautiful back then. And so turned into a mausoleum, but back in the 80s, and you know, it was a good team back then. I don't know. We're going all the way back to Billy Ball and Billy Martin, but it was a winning product and a beautiful stadium to boot. A lot of foul territory. It was.
Oh yeah, I mean, there always was
for pitchers.
Yeah. I grew to really appreciate the Coliseum at the end. I mean, again, for the people who thought the Coliseum was bad, I wish y'all could have seen what Sun Life Stadium was like when the Marlins played there prior to any of the renovations. Renovations. Let's say words correctly there, Sam. You want to talk about an awful stadium. Sun Life Stadium down in Miami. Good Lord. That makes the Coliseum look like an absolute palace. Again, it's much nicer now since they've renovated into the now Hard Rock Stadium, which is where obviously my Miami Hurricanes play. And for those of you again wondering, I see someone on YouTube ask the question, Pierce Evans on YouTube, is Sam Lubman wearing an Indiana Hoosiers beanie? Yes, Pierce, I am. I'm wearing an Indiana Hoosiers beanie because I lost a bet to Indiana alum Zach Green. What was the bet? The bet was who was going to win the national championship. My Canes lost to his Hoosiers, so the punishment is I got to wear this beanie during the show today, and I'm finally paying off that bet today. I'm finally able to make that happen. But yeah, Sun Life Stadium, good Lord, what an awful place to go watch a baseball game. It sort of worked for football, but it was just awful. It made you appreciate the Coliseum a lot more. The Coliseum, it was like, it had that thing like it's a dump, but it's our dump. And that, I think, there was a charm to the Coliseum that made it likable. And being at that last game of the Coliseum, damn, it was hard not to have emotions because even though I grew up a Giants fan, I still went to a lot of A's games with my friends because, again, when your friends are A's fans, you're going to go to games with them. And, me and my friends who are Giants fans, we go and we'd say we're rooting for the not A's. So basically, whoever the A's were playing for, we would just root for that team to beat the A's. Unless it was the Dodgers. That case, then you become an A's fan. But I just had so many great memories just going to games with my friends, screwing around at the Coliseum, running around the stadium or in the parking lot, and just kind of just goofing off and being a kid there. And that's kind of what the Coliseum means to me in terms of just like, there's so many great memories there. The building sucked, but the times and the memories were still really, really great. And that is what I miss most about having the A's here in the Bay Areas. I just like that charged back and forth that the fans would have. I liked it when the A's would play at Oracle Park. A's fans would just invade, and they had to let it be known, like, we're going to make noise in your house. Like, we're going to be loud here in your ballpark. And they just brought a spirit to the game that is just, it's unfortunately not going to be the same now that the teams are separated by Highway 80 instead of the Bay Bridge.
Yeah, I don't think it's a rivalry any longer, but I do remember when I was a child growing up that my father used to work predominantly in the East Bay, and so I went to a lot of A's games, and I grew up an A's fan, and I was like you, but growing up in San Francisco was sort of the reverse, and I had all Giant fans around me. It was not split. It was me, essentially, that was the A's fan. But when you're a kid and you have that sort of, you got the bug or the illness of wanting to be a sportscaster, even when I was young, the one thing that used to resonate with me was a guy by the name of Roy Steele. And for you A's fans, you know exactly who I'm talking about. He was the PA announcer for decades, and they called him the voice of God. And when he would say he was coming to the plate, it just, as a child, it's like, who is that man? It resonated and just sort of echoed in your mind and your head forever. And it's little things like that, right? Like, you go to the park and you got your dad's hand or whoever your parental guide is. My old man's hand is like, it's just like you just get swallowed into it, and then you're sort of craning out to see the park for the first time. You see the green grass and like that moment and that feel, and then you hear Roy Steele. It's just like that combination for me was just, you're never going to change that in your formative years. It's indelible in the back of your mind. And so, like the Coliseum and the A's, I have fond memories. But that does not translate, or that does not travel to Sacramento. I don't think.
And what you're never going to get out in Sacramento, where you're never going to get in Las Vegas, is that parking lot at the Coliseum. I mean, that, you want to talk about great vibes, whether you're there for an A's game or a Raiders game. Yeah. Oh, that was one of the best tailgating atmospheres you'll find in sports, was the tailgating at the Coliseum, because you can tailgate in the Giants parking lots, a few of them, but I don't know, Dan, it's not the same when you're tailgating off-site. It's more of a fun tailgate when you're in that parking lot and you got the stadium right there as your backdrop. Whereas, like, if you're tailgating in Lot A, then you got, those Mission Bay buildings blocking your view of the ballpark. You got to pack everything up. Then you got to take the 10-minute walk, across the left field dual bridge to get to the stadium. You're going from one location to another. And I feel like a real tailgate is you're never leaving the grounds of where you're at. And that's what made the Coliseum so fun, is you could tailgate all around the entire Coliseum. And it was just such a unique atmosphere.
That's a great point.
And so many great smells, too. You get your smell of your burgers, your hot dogs, and the weed, and everyone's drinking beers and playing catch in the parking lot or tackle football in the parking lot. Or it was such a different atmosphere in that parking lot. And You know, like I remember like going to games in Miami. That was a very lively tailgating scene, but that was more of like a South Beach party vibe where it's Oakland in the Coliseum is just like, we're just chilling here on game day. We're just chilling here in the sun, having some beers, eating some food, smoking that green, and gonna go and root for the green and gold a little bit later. It was just, it perfectly encapsulated just the entire just Oakland but East Bay vibe. And that's what I missed the most is tailgating in that parking lot, among many other things when the A's were here. Baseball's so much better when the A's were here.
I think tailgating in general is sort of a dying tradition, especially with now you have all the ballparks moving downtown, right? And so all that food that you're referring to and all that drink that you're enjoying, now what they want you to do from an economic standpoint is to spend that at the restaurant that's adjacent to the ballpark or spend that at the bar that's right next door to the ballpark. And a lot of that is lost in terms of the community and everything that you've talked about, I'd say, over the last couple of decades, because baseball and sports in general are not enjoyed as it was when I was a child. And the whole tailgating experience has really been mitigated because of the move to some of these bigger downtown areas.
Mm-hmm. I think another thing we've kind of lost with the A's not being in the Bay Area is, especially for the Giants, I think a lot of Giants fans kind of believe this secretly, and I'm going to say the quiet part out loud here is I think it was nice having a team in this area that was pushing the Giants for relevancy. Like, I think part of the reason why the Giants did not want to go through a teardown rebuild is that they didn't want to be irrelevant for a couple of years, then have the A's become good during that time. The Giants wanted to always be in the mix because they didn't want the A's to take away any of their spotlight. And I do kind of wonder, and I think a lot of Giants fans will say this up right now, and I'm curious to see how this continues going forward. Not having that rival across the Bay pushing you, like the Giants were always had an incentive to try and be the better team in the Bay Area, but with the A's gone now, they have this market to themselves. I am kind of curious about how not having that team across the Bay pushing you. I am curious to see how much that impacts the Giants' motivation. I mean, obviously, the Giants, they want to have a winning product. They want to have a successful product. But when you have another team in your market that is trying to take away your spotlight, I do think there is more motivation for the Giants to try and hold on to that spotlight and do the moves necessary to be better to keep that spotlight. And you just don't have that now with the A's not here. The Giants are the only competition in town. If you don't want to watch us, who are you going to watch? That's kind of where they're at right now.
Yeah, and I think it's just like anything else, like that of restaurants, right? If you don't have that competition because they put something new on the menu and all of a sudden your consumers are going someplace else, that you have to change things, right? That you have to do things a little bit differently, that you have to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of getting better. When that's removed from the equation and you're the only show in town, but I don't think that's been a reflection of San Francisco. I know that there's certain places that there's just like, well, yeah, what is it that you're going to do? But like the Colorado Rockies, some people point to them are like, Colorado fans are probably, when you compare them to like Philadelphia or New York, the most lenient because their teams suck, but they do okay at the gate. And you don't hear a lot of
people always show up for those games.
You don't see a lot of people wearing bags over their head in Colorado, right? And so franchises like that of the Rockies will take advantage. And I think that, San Francisco always felt as though we need to stay up, especially back in the day with like that of the Oakland A's, especially during Moneyball when the A's were good, right? And it's a small market and the Giants weren't as good. So there was a lot of that. And now the A's have been out of the market, but I don't see that necessarily in the part of San Francisco. I still think that there is a competitive sort of spirit about them.
Well, I mean, they'll definitely say that there is again when they have guys like Willy Adames, Rafi Devers, and Matt Chapman on the roster. They're going to try and put that front up, but I guess I do think there is less of a urgency, I think, to be the dominant force in the Bay Area because there's no one now fighting you for it. And this is where we'll see with the Valkyries. Maybe they can kind of push the Giants for some eyes, but it's not going to be on the level that the A's were ever going to be pushing the Giants for some eyes. So, yeah, a little fun little conversation there about the A's-Giants rivalry that used to be. We'll talk to Kyle Madsen a little bit on the other side about the series, and then let's talk about Buster Posey and the job that he's done a little bit here, Dan, because, again, we kind of point out what's the issue with this team. Is it the managing? Is it the players? Well, how much of a stick do we shake at Buster Posey for the moves that he has made in putting this roster together. I want to explore that on the other side a little bit as well. So again, yeah, Kyle Madsen on the other side. It's the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good.
So, how's your research going?
Surprising. After I figured out the top-rated TVs in our price range, I went shopping for deals.
And who's the best?
It wasn't the internet, and it wasn't the warehouse club.
But?
It was video only. They had better deals on the Samsung, LG, and the Sony TVs that got the highest scores.
Better than online and at the club?
I know. Video only beat them all. And now we can afford an even better model for the same price. My research really paid off.
If we buy it video only.
Exactly. Otherwise, we'll be sorry.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Mountain View, San Mateo, Union City, Dublin, and San Rafael. Video Only.
All right, I need avocados, bananas, salad, steak.
Wow, does your grocery list have multiple pages?
No, but I skipped lunch, so now it's like my stomach is doing the grocery shopping. And besides, I'm earning cash back with Upside.
Upside? What's that?
Hold up, you haven't heard of it? Upside is a free app that gets you cash back when you shop at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants. And they added Lucky and Food Max stores, so we're pretty much covered wherever we go.
All those stores?
Yep, so not only are we getting a great deal on groceries, now we can earn cash back as well.
Okay, downloading Upside. Now let me copy your grocery list.
Great news! Lucky and Food Max are now on Upside. Download the Upside app and use the promo code SAVE8 to earn a 10% cashback bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code SAVE8 for a 10% cashback bonus. Use promo code SAVE8.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Yeah, Dan Dibley here for Fremont Bank, which, as you know by now, it's my bank, and it has been for more than 6 years. And I love this bank because it's a family-owned bank with the family-owned feel. They started back in 1964, and when they did that, it was just one branch, but now they have 21 branches. So if you go around in your Bay Area, you're going to find a Fremont Bank branch, and you're going to see it, and you're going to think, you know what? I want that full-service banking with no compromises, and you should. It's not a big box bank. It's a good local bank, and when you deposit your money with Fremont Bank, they reinvest it locally into businesses, philanthropy, home ownership, all the good stuff that makes our Bay Area the best area in all of the country, and that's why you should be a Fremont Bank customer. The money stays here. It's local. It's not a big box bank. It's a good, solid local bank. And we talk about Fremont Bank, and you know that they're here for you and here for good.
This is Larry Flick, owner of The Floor Store. For 40 years, Memorial Day has been our biggest sale of the year, and we're making this one count. Up to 50% off every product store-wide. That's carpet, hardwood, laminate, waterproof flooring, and much more. 0% financing for 2 full years. Plus, we pay your sales tax on everything. The Floor Store's Memorial Day sale. It's on, and it's big. Visit floorstores.com to find your nearest Bay Area showroom. From Santa Rosa to San Jose, The Floor Store, your Bay Area flooring authority.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Pros, save more on the materials you need to get the job done inside and out at Lowe's. Right now, get 10% off in-stock Trex Naturals decking, now available in more styles. Plus, get 15% off select custom entry, interior, and storm doors. Then, we'll deliver it all straight to your job site to help keep your jobs moving. Get the brands pros trust, priced right, and ready when you need them. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 5/27. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Don't miss the Bay Area's own Journey on their final Frontier Tour. They'll be taking over the Chase Center on November 28th. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. And for your chance to win your way into the show courtesy of Live Nation, visit the contest page at 957thegame.com.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes?
Penalties and interest are piling up every single day. Wage garnishments and bank levies could hit any moment. If you've been avoiding it out of fear, you're not alone. But waiting only shrinks your options and ramps up the stress. The truth is, the IRS settles with taxpayers every day through legitimate programs, and many qualify to reduce what they owe, in some cases by up to 99%. That's why thousands turn to helpwithirsdebt.com. They've guided over 120,000 Americans, resolved more than $2.3 billion in tax debt, and back every case with their ironclad resolution guarantee. If there's no real path forward, you get a full refund, no fine print. They even randomly select one qualifying client each year and pay off their entire IRS balance. Terms apply. Don't let another day pass. Go to helpwithirsdebt.com right now. It's fast, easy, and confidential. Find out what's possible today. Helpwithirsdebt.com. Once again, that's helpwithirsdebt.com.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, we are back on the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. Sam Lubman alongside Dan Devone, and we finally got our guy. We're going to go right to him right off the rip here. Joining us on the River Islands guest line, our friend Kyle Madsen from ESPN 1320, our sister station out in Sacramento, and he is rocking the sweet-looking Valkyries hat today. Kyle, so glad to have you back here, man. How you doing?
Yeah, man, fired up to be here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, love this Valks hat. Go Valks. V's up all the time. Let's go.
Let's go. At least we got one Bay Area team that could be doing right here in the summer, because it's not going well for the Giants right now. Contrast to your A's, who are surprisingly in first place in the AL West here. Kyle, I'm just curious, in this year two of the A's being in Sacramento, how much is that city embracing this A's team right now?
More so now that they're winning, but it's tough because the context of them coming to Sacramento was a stopover. It was a brief vacation before they go to their real new home in Las Vegas. And so I think there's still some people who are not fully embracing the A's because of that. But on the other hand, there's a ton of people who go out to the ballpark and they go, yeah, hey, there's a professional baseball team here. I'm not caught up in the relocation or all the drama. I just want to go watch Major League Baseball, whether it's A's players or whether it's Jordan Walker and the Cardinals or whether it's Aaron Judge and the Yankees. I'm gonna go watch. And so I think now that they're winning, and if they continue winning, and if they win their division, which they're doing right now, as you noted, and they host a wild card series, I think you'll see people really come out. But it's tough knowing that, all right, well, they're not staying. Like, that's off the table. They're going to Vegas. So I think it's tough to kind of fully put your arms around them.
Again, yeah, winning obviously does help. And again, this Giants come into the series. I think a lot of people are kind of surprised to see that the Giants are the down and out team and the A's are atop their division. Obviously, the A's been getting better for the last couple of years, but yeah, the first place in the AL West, just are you surprised that the A's are doing this well in their division so far this season?
Not super surprised. I predicted on my radio program on ESPN 1320 that they'd make the playoffs this year. Houston's not great. Seattle hasn't been as good as I thought Seattle would be. Cal Raleigh's struggles have I think really bogged them down. But I didn't necessarily think they would win their division, but I thought they'd be in the mix for sure, because this is just sort of the pattern we see from the A's, where they're down for a couple of years, then you start to see the rise. I thought last year would be the big leap. It was not. They had a really hard time getting guys out, but they've been better to start this year, and that's not a major surprise to me. And if you told me, like, yeah, the Rangers and the Mariners never really figured it out, and the A's won the division with 88, 89 wins, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Again, talk about the surprise of the A's success here. Let's look at the other side with the Giants, the team that's coming into Sacramento this weekend. Just, Kyle, I think a lot of us here in the Bay Area are shocked to see the Giants in the situation they're in right now. How surprising is it for you to see this Giants team come into Sacramento 8 games below 500, now 9 games below 500 after that loss last night?
Yeah, man, it's a stunner, right? Like, even the most pessimistic Giants fans I know were like, it's like a 500 ball club, and they're way worse than that. I keep expecting them to hit, because that was the whole thing before the year is, man, this team is going to be able to hit. At the very least, they're going to be able to hit. And they got Logan Webb atop the rotation and Robbie Ray atop the rotation. Like, they're gonna get some guys out. They'll hit, and it'll be at least a fun team that might be a 500 team, but maybe better. And the fact that so many guys aren't hitting, and then they call up Bryce Eldridge, and he's not playing, and he's struggling when he does play, and Matt Chapman's trying to figure it out. And I went and looked at the Rafi Devers numbers to try and see like what was going on there. And there's nothing in the analytics that says Rafi Devers should be struggling. Just eye test, it feels like he's trying to hit everything 600 miles. And if you've played baseball before, you know, it's not necessarily conducive to doing what you need to do at the plate. So I expect them to be a little better at some point, but this hope of them kind of making a run and competing in the NL West looks to have died a long time ago.
No, and it's crazy. It's May 16th, and we're already saying that right now. And it's like, this is a team that's looking like right now, the Giants, that it might be better for them just to kind of to blow things up here. And I'm kind of curious, Kyle, because again, being an A's fan, you've seen the A's go through a lot of turnover where they've blown things up, then rebuilt it, blown things up and rebuilt it. Like, what do you make of the fact that the Giants have always been kind of reluctant to go down that road where, again, it may not be fun for A's fans when they go through it, but now you're hearing an upswing right now, and the A's, they look like such more of a fun team to watch right now than the Giants because you have that excitement that comes from an upswing. The Giants never really want to take that step back, needed to take those 2 steps forward. Just what do you make of the fact that the Giants still seem so adamant about not wanting to do that?
Because it feels like they're close all the time. And I think part of it is, and this might be me projecting, but the 2010 and 2012 and 2014 teams on paper were never the best team in the sport. And it was never like, oh man, this is a World Series team. Now you felt that after 2010 because you watched them win it. But I kind of feel like it stems from that a little bit. Like there's this belief that, oh, if you just kind of you get Willy Adames and Rafael Devers and Matt Chapman with Logan Webb and Robbie Ray, oh my goodness, like that's the core of a World Series team. All we got to do is put the right pieces in place. And then they won 107 games a few years back and kind of justified that approach. At some point, though, you're right. We talk about this with the Kings in Sacramento all the time. As bad as they are, the Kings aren't trying to tear it down. They're not trying to tank. They were just bad. And I think at some point you need to I know tanking is a bad word for it, but I'm going to just use that. At some point you need to tank. You need to be bad to eventually get that upswing. And I understand why the Giants are hesitant to do it. They have the money to spend. They have the recent pedigree over the last, decade or two of winning and going to the playoffs. But at some point, man, you just gotta let it go. And it sucks for fans, but you gotta be bad for a couple years. And sometimes that's just kind of what it takes.
That's the cycle of sports here. Just talk to our friend Kyle Madsen, ESPN 1320, our sister station out in Sacramento. Kyle, I guess before the A's moved out to Sacramento, I think you guys talked a lot of Giants out there. But I'm kind of curious, what is the split right now to your station when it comes to talking Giants versus talking A's when you guys are not talking about the Kings?
Probably like 50-50.
Oh, really?
For the most part. Yeah. Just because the Giants, if the Giants have been, if not good, at least they're interesting. The Bryce Eldridge thing was interesting. The Tony Vitello experiment is going to continue to be interesting. What do you do with Matt Chapman? That's interesting. The Logan Webb injury stuff. Is he hurt? Is he not? Will he say he's hurt? That was interesting. So I think there's some intrigue there. Now that doesn't last. It's still May. That we're not going to be sitting here in July if it's all the same talking about it. But it's at least been intriguing so far. And with the A's, I think you're starting to see there's the opening day, there's the excitement of that, and now people are really starting to see that, oh, this team's winning. Oh, and they have a Sacramento jersey. And, oh, if I go to a game, I'm not liable to see them lose by 15 runs. I might get to go see a win, and I might get to go have a good time at Sutter Health Park. So, yeah, we're kind of in the midst of figuring that out right now. But there's the Giants fan base is so massive, and they did such a good job of through the early part of the 2010s and the middle of 2010s, being A, good, but B, marketing their team and marketing their players, that I think that success kind of stretched its way up north. And so I think there's still a lot of Giants fans in Sacramento. The AAA team is there with the River Cats. And I think that kind of lends itself to, all right, you go to a bunch of River Cats games and you fall in love with Bryce Eldridge or Luis Matos or Elliot Ramos or whoever. And when they go up to the big club, you're going to follow them. You're going to want to root for them. So I think there's still a lot of Giants fans in Sacramento, which is another reason I think that the A's have a hard time being fully embraced there, because it's hard to just be like, oh, I like this team now.
Yeah.
After they've been your de facto regional rival for so long. But yeah, 50-50 for now. But if the two teams keep trending the way they're trending, it'll trend more towards the A's as the season goes on.
That makes sense. What do you think of the job Tony's done so far this year? Out here, we're seeing kind of a reluctance to pin the blame of these struggles on Tony because the roster being what it is. But I'm just curious, what have been the conversations about Tony out there?
When you go to the mound and you don't signal for what pitcher you want, that's tough. Like, that's just that forget who it is. Like, given the fact that he doesn't have major league experience and the fact that video comes out, and like, that's just going to be not something like, or like, oh, this is hilarious, but it's a tough look for sure. Some of the quotes early in the season were really tough, even before the year started. And then the way he handled their struggles out of the gate, I think it raised some question marks. But I also don't believe personally that if Bruce Bochy or Bob Melvin were managing this team right now, that they're 10 games over 500. Like, the manager can only affect so much. If they were playing really well, and it's like, man, there's a decision here and there that have just lost them some games, that's one thing. But when your players just aren't performing, to me, that's not on the manager. So yeah, I think he's had some missteps and some gaffes, but I'm not putting the blame on Tony Vitello.
And then last one here before I get you out of here, just the way they've handled Bryce Eldridge. I mean, the A's have called up a lot of great prospects over the years, and they've just jammed him right into the lineup. And we've seen a guy this week in Shea Langoliers. I remember when he first came up, there was a lot to be desired in his game. He looks like an MVP candidate now. There is something to be said about getting guys in the lineup every day and sticking with them. So what are the conversations like up at 1320 about Bryce Eldridge lately these days?
I'm shocked, dude. I can't believe what they're doing. If you're going to call up the A's just called up Henry Bolt, and the A's are good. They called up Henry Bolt and they said, hey, you're going to play. This is you're up here, you're playing now. You're not going to come up here and play every couple of days and you're going to pinch it here and there and you're going to play situationally. Like, I get that the Giants are in a rut and they're trying to win games and maybe they don't feel like they want to take that risk right now with Bryce Eldridge. Then just leave him down. If you're going to call him up, it's because you want him to play and you want to see what it looks like. To me, like, I don't understand calling up a player if he's not going to play every single day. And I understand the lineup or the roster construction, and he can't play because Casey Schmidt has been their best player. And what do you do with Matt Chapman? And like, I got it all. Like, I understand all that, but dude, figure it out if you're going to call him up. You don't call him up and then go, oh no, our roster. Like, you knew what the roster was. If that was going to be a problem to me, leave him in Sacramento.
I totally agree with you, Kyle. It's been frustrating. It's a puzzle they're going to have to figure out every day. Very much appreciate you joining us on the show today. You going to the game tonight?
No, not heading up to Sacramento. I still live in the Bay Area, so it's tough to get up to Sacramento on weekends. So
that's true.
Yeah,
you make that commute enough already. Who really wants to do it again over the weekend?
I do, dude.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Well, you know what? You're a gamer. That's why you get through it, man. So very much appreciate you for hopping on with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Hi, Dan.
What's up, buddy? Well, you got to have your mic on when you say it to him.
Brian, how are you, buddy?
There you go. That was Kyle Madsen there joining us on the River Islands guest line there. And yeah, he got a little fired up there with Eldridge at the end. And it perfectly, I think, if A's fans are looking at it and they're frustrated, it just really shows how Giants fans are frustrated here. And he brings up a good point, Dan. Like, you don't just bring them up and then try and figure it out after that. You got to have a plan going into it. And this is, I think, we're frustrated with the product we're seeing on the field, Dan, but part of the frustration Giants fans are having, I wonder what frustrates them more, the play on the field or just the handling of Bryce Eldridge. What's the bigger frustration there? 888-957-9570 is the number to call.
Yeah, I think that with everything that's gone wrong for this baseball team, and as much as we want to point a finger and have public enemy number one, that we can say this is the reason why, it's been really sort of challenging because we can't figure out why these guys can't hit. Well, it must be Buster Posey. I'm not necessarily on board with that. Well, it's got to be the rookie manager and Tony Vitello. He's actually been okay despite some obvious errors. And so when there's this sort of frustration where we don't know where to direct our ire, I think the one clear thing that fans can sort of collaborate on and be right is the handling of Eldridge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one that doesn't necessarily have to be broken down as to, well, there's a lot of reason and I'm one who does believe that he's going to get, there is some advantage of him taking ground balls before every game from Ron Washington and getting the tutelage at the major league level as opposed to that of the minor leagues. But that does not absolve the Giants the way they're handling him offensively. And so, while I don't know that Tony Vitello has been the reason, I don't know if it's necessarily Buster Posey. Certainly you can blame the players. But in this instance, Sam, I do think that we can all be in agreement that the way they're handling offensively in terms of playing time for Bryce Eldridge is incorrect.
Yeah, incorrect is a soft way of putting it. Malpractice is a word I've used a lot. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. It's just not the way you should treat your top prospect. And Dan, you had a great line earlier in the show. You kind of talked about how, Farhan, he was there was a skittishness in terms of kind of chase after big names. Another thing that Farhan was kind of skittish about was in terms of getting big names was he didn't want to add, like, an example, we don't want to get Aaron Judge now because we got this outfielder coming up and we don't want to block him in the minor leagues. And the sentiment was, forget it. Sign him now, figure it out later. It's easier for an outfielder versus, at first base, but that's kind of what it is. It's what I liked about the Devers trade is that it kind of threw to the wind this whole notion of, I don't want to block this guy, or I don't want to get someone now because it could block someone later. No, we're just going to figure it out. I did like that. Now we're at the figure it out stage, and they're just not figuring it out. And it's like, what I kind of compare it to, Dan, is like if you play fantasy football, right?
Not really, but go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, that's very smart of you. I kind of compare it to like when you draft two tight ends. Like one year I thought I'm going to be really smart. I'm going to draft George Kittle and Travis Kelce. You're thinking, I'm going to corner the tight end market. Then the game's starting, you realize like, oh, I just screwed up here. Because you need them both in your lineup every week, which means now you don't have your flex spot, and you just have this really awkward roster crunch because you can't play them elsewhere. That's what the Giants have now in Eldridge and Devers. It's basically the same as having two tight ends on your fantasy football roster where you can't really put them anywhere else, and you got to get them in the lineup. But if you do that, you take away your flex spot, which is basically your DH, in this scenario. And when you got to get Casey Schmidt in the lineup, I don't know what you do. You got an opportunity today to maybe try him out in left field. He did get in left field for a minute last night, but that's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole for a day or two.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier that I'm with you. I like the move. It was aggressive, and we'll make sense of it.
Devers move? Or?
If they want to trade Devers, we need hitting because this reared its head last year. We were doing shows where this team did not hit for about 2 months straight. Not to this degree, but it clearly was a problem. So go get the best hitter that was available, and that was Devers. We'll figure this thing out. They did that, but what has confused matters is the rise of Casey Schmidt, who's also a corner infielder. But they knew that, again, before they brought up Bryce Eldridge. So there's just absolute chaos as to where he's going to play. And I think that it really starts and ends with Casey Schmidt because Casey Schmidt is a guy that's just he's just going to revolve around the entire infield and now outfield. And you're going to have to rest some guys, and then you're going to have to free up some time for Bryce Eldridge. But this is sort of their own undoing over there at the logjam at first base with the sort of the emergence of Casey Schmidt. And then at the time, knowing that you got to get him some at-bats and that he's going to play one of the corner infield positions and still bring Bryce Eldridge up.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to get your arms around.
I want to go behind the glass. Caddy Zach, how would you get Bryce Eldridge in the lineup? I'm curious just how you're looking at this whole situation right now.
Yeah, as I said earlier to you before the show, I think the Giants are kind of in a lose-lose situation. You got to try to get as many bats and reps to Eldridge as possible, but This is baseball. This isn't basketball, where one superstar like Steph Curry can transform a franchise. And even if Eldridge becomes that guy, you know, you have to put some pieces around him. And the ballpark they play in, you know, it could be very tricky.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he does kind of have the left-handed power swing that I think could translate for that short porch out in right field, 309 down to that right field foul pole, which is where his home run was hit last Saturday. He eked it just inside that foul pole there. But again, Jim Bowden, who was on with Willard and Dibbs earlier this week, he suggested a way to get Bryce Eldridge in the lineup. Here was his suggestion.
Well, he's at first base and Devers is DHing.
But then there's Casey Schmidt, right? There's Schmidt, there's Adames, there's Chapman.
You got to put Schmidt at second then.
What do you do with Arise?
Trade him. Eldridge shouldn't be there. If he's there, I got to find a place for him. And look, I like Arise because he's going to hit 300, right? But he doesn't do damage. He doesn't drive in runs. He doesn't score runs. He doesn't have any range at second base. He doesn't help your pitching staff. His best position is first base. So, but the best thing to do is put Eldridge in AAA. But if he's in the big leagues, you got to play him. You can't use him as a pinch hitter. But this doesn't make any sense at all. You can't have a top prospect in the big leagues on the bench as a pinch hitter. Like, who does that? It doesn't happen. Guys bring up prospects, and if they struggle and they don't hit, they option them out and fix it, and you bring it back up. What they're doing now makes zero sense, and I don't know who's doing it and why they're doing it. I just don't get it.
So Jim's like really, really angry about all this, and I'm sure a lot of Giants fans are. I want to play a little exercise here, Dan. Keep 2, move 1. Keep 2 of these guys on the roster, move the third guy via trade or demotion. Arias, Schmidt, Eldridge. Keep 2, move 1.
Eldridge goes down.
Eldridge goes down.
Yeah, and by the way, again, love me some Jim Bowden, but bro, you sound like...
He sounds like a caller.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of trading Arise, it's almost as though he just wants to get his point across that you got to play the guy every day. We get that, but then he has no fallback. When you start talking about Arise and everything else that he mentioned, basically you just want to say, yeah, you obviously haven't watched this team and you're wrong. Because Arise is a much better defender, and Arise shouldn't go anywhere.
No, I would extend Arias if given the opportunity right now, to be honest, even though he might be your best trade chip. Right now, again, I kind of mentioned it earlier on the show, Dan, if I'm keeping 2, moving 1, there is a part of me, and this is kind of crazy to say, I would look into seeing what you can get for Casey Schmidt, honestly. Because if I had to choose between Schmidt and Arias at second base, Schmidt's 27, Arias is 29. Arias has still got 3, 4 probably really good years left, and the kind of hitter he is, I expect his hitting profile to stay pretty consistent for the next 3-4 years, where he's going to be hitting singles, 31.7% of the time that he's stepped into the batter's box, which, yeah, I'm all in on that. I don't care if he just hits singles. If he gives me this defense with this batting average, I would sign up for that for the next 4 years. If you can find something that you can move Casey Schmidt, maybe you attach Casey Schmidt to like a Willy Adames even. They were getting a little bit crazier here. That could be a way to open things up. Or maybe people would rather just get rid of Adames and Chapman, but that's a completely different exercise here. No. Yeah. Zach, I want to ask you. Keep 2 on the roster, move the third. Casey Schmidt, Luis Arias, Bryce Eldridge. Keep 2, move 1. What are you doing there?
I mean, I think you got to sell high on Eldridge, because if he doesn't even pan out, then...
Really?
Yeah, I mean, before the season, there was some chatter about the Giants, might be open to moving Eldridge. And as I stated, how many times does an actual prospect pan out with the Giants in particular? Look at Marco Luciano. Do you see the numbers he's putting up in AAA right now?
They're probably not very good.
Yeah, the Giants should have sold high on him when they could have.
Wow, that's a bold take there from Caddy Zach.
Well, it's not bad, actually. Caddy Zach's onto something there.
Here's what Bob Nightingale said about when he joined the Morning Roast earlier this week.
Might have to. Of course, you're not adding to his trade value by sitting. He needs to play. I mean, he's not playing with San Francisco. He needs to be, playing in Sacramento. He's got to play. But yeah, I mean, I know that was kind of raised over the winter, and they said no. But where are you going to play him? So I think there has to be a world where you listen to offers and see if somebody wants this guy and move him.
I want to get into that on the other side, the concept of trading Bryce Eldridge. By the way, I really love how in this exercise we each pick someone different. I'm trading Casey Schmidt. You're sending down Bryce Eldridge. He's trading Bryce Eldridge. I like how we all had something different there. Let's finish this conversation up on the other side. It's the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. I'm Sam Lubin. That's Dan Devone. You just heard from Zach Green behind the glass. We'll close this show out on the other side. It's brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you. Here for good.
Discover Silverado Resort, Napa Valley's playground for those who love to stay, play, and recharge. Tee it up with 36 holes of championship golf, rally on the tennis and pickleball courts, or train like a pro in the newly renovated fitness center, restore in the refreshed spa and recovery lounge, and refuel at the soon-to-open Match Play kitchen and bar. With newly renovated rooms, it's the ultimate escape. If it's been years since your last visit, rediscover Silverado Resort, a renewed Napa Valley original. Book your staycation today. Visit SilveradoResort.com.
In the market for a new mattress but overwhelmed by all the options? At Mattress Firm, we make it easy. Just drop in, answer a few questions, and our sleep experts will guide you to your perfect mattress. And with options for every budget, it's no wonder more shoppers choose Mattress Firm than any other mattress specialty retailer. And now save up to $1,000 on a Tempur-Pedic split king system, plus get a $300 instant gift. For the great sleep you deserve, visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and auto pay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
Yeah, Dan Dibley here for Fremont Bank, which, as you know by now, it's my bank, and it has been for more than 6 years. And I love this bank because it's a family-owned bank with the family-owned feel. They started back in 1964, and when they did that, it was just one branch, but now they have 21 branches. So if you go around in your Bay Area, you're going to find a Fremont Bank branch, and you're going to see it, and you're going to think, you know what? I want that full-service banking with no compromises, and you should. It's not a big box bank. It's a good local bank, and when you deposit your money with Fremont Bank, they reinvest it locally into businesses, philanthropy, home ownership, all the good stuff that makes our Bay Area the best area in all of the country. And that's why you should be a Fremont Bank customer. The money stays here. It's local. It's not a big box bank. It's a good, solid local bank. And we talk about Fremont Bank, and you know that they're here for you and here for good.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found Tax Relief Advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
Wait! Before you change the station, listen to this.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll also get a vacation voucher and a tax deduction.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. Donate your car today.
The
month of May is AAPI Heritage Month. That's Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. If you're wondering how you can participate in the festivities, visit apasf.org for access to San Francisco's AAPI Heritage Month celebration guide. There are over 100 cultural events, including art exhibits, movies, book talks, music, comedy shows, and more. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Check out the celebration guide at apasf.org. That's apasf.org.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Oh, about 20-ish more minutes. No, that's not when the show ends. I mean, it is, but that's why I can finally take off this Indiana Hoosiers beanie. Oh, it's been painful wearing this, Dan. I'm not going to lie. For those who are wondering, why is Sam Lubman, Pride of the University of Miami, wearing an Indiana Hoosiers hat, or beanie, so to speak? I am honoring a bet. I lost a bet to our Hoosiers' finest, Zach Green. His Hoos beat my Canes in the college football championship game back in January, the same night Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. It was an awful night for everybody that night. And yeah, so as a result, I got to wear this beanie. If Miami had won, he'd be wearing something Miami-related, but that is not
See, because I think you guys, this is somewhat of a gentleman's bet here, because a beanie is, beanie's all right, but if you win a bet like that, there's got to be a little sort of, not necessarily humiliation, but something that's maybe a little bit out of the ordinary, showing some Miami pride, a little face painting maybe.
Yeah, we could have done something like that, but, I don't know what the original bet was. I mean, I don't know if there's a six-pack or money. I'm not a money bettor, Dan. I don't have that kind of money. Like, there are people at this station who I feel like, whether or not their kid's going to go to college or not is dependent on whether or not there's a run scored in the first inning.
I was reading an interesting article in the New York Times about that. Well, on a serious note, since the legalization of sports betting, about how the suicide rate, which was attributed to a certain degree from the 18 to college kids, from 18 to 25 to sports betting, it has now not only tripled, it's like 150% higher, where the number of kids now that are attributed to loss of life, taking their own life because of betting in college, since the legalization of sports betting is almost to the point of being an epidemic in this country.
See, this is why I don't get into it, Dan. I just don't make the money to it. I am but a humble radio producer. But I've also seen like those Sports Center does their bad beats or whatever, where like a game, like entire game is flipped at the end because of something that happens, or if someone takes an ill-timed safety at the end of a game and that swings things. Like, I've seen so many crazy things happen that screw people out of their money. I'm just not going to get into it. And there's a lot of people at the station who do that. They call them the Nerfies, I guess, the no-run first inning. They'll put money on that. I won't name any names, but somebody who was in the booth who was in the producer studio between 10 and 2 yelled really loudly the other day when a run was scored in the first inning. And I was like, oh, someone just lost their Nerfie. Not going to say any names, but it's, someone who's usually behind the glass between 10 and 2 when Steiny and Guru are on. Zach, you said you had a story about this?
Yeah. So the first thing that came to mind is when I actually got to Indiana, like orientation, COVID, granted, and nothing's open, new environment across the country. And the way you met people is you'd walk around. And I swear within the first week I'm walking around, kids from the East Coast in particular, they're like, hey, you need a bookie? Turns out.
There's no way it was just that open. That's insane.
Well, Brandon Sorsby, right? I mean, we're getting off topic here. But.
A little bit. Wow. Yeah, that's it's just so right. Again, I choose not to get into it. So that's why our bet was a simple. I wear something Indiana. He would have worn something Miami.
What would you have made him wear?
I I got a jacket. I got a pretty cool Miami jacket I would have had him wear. Though he could have brought in an Indiana jacket too, and that would have looked cool. But I don't know, maybe another day I'll wear an Indiana jacket for him to be paying out the bet part 2, just digging my own hole. You know who's digging a hole right now, Dan? It's the Giants, and they're handling a Bryce Eldridge. They are digging a big old frustrating hole for Giants fans to get into. And Dave Fleming joined Spadoni and I in the Morning Roast earlier this week, and I asked him straight up just how you feel, what your thoughts are on the frustration that fans are having over the handling over Bryce Eldridge. Here's what Dave had to say.
I do understand it because everybody, wants to see this guy play. Everybody's curious. They want to see him it's just fun to see the new guy who you think is really talented. So that part of it's fun to watch him and dream about him. And number 2 is the Giants fans, I think, really do believe, hey, this guy's going to be a big part of our future. We can't compromise that in any way. I'm not telling anybody how they should feel or think, but I would just say that for everybody who's really worried about this, these things always work themselves out. And the idea that somehow his development is getting crushed by this is nonsense. Like, that is not happening. He is learning stuff every day. And in some ways, it's a lot easier, even in a part-time role, to learn at this level. You know, AAA, I was pulling up the box scores. I was watching him just by pitch charts. You know, I wasn't watching a lot of games down there, but I was pulling up the heat maps with him, and he was getting nibbled at AAA. He was not getting a lot of pitches to hit. Like, I think it's better in some ways for him, even if he's only playing 2 or 3 times a week, to be challenged at this level and have to learn against the elite pitching, but sort of deal with how they're really going to pitch him as opposed to what was happening down there.
So there's the one sentiment of these things always try to find ways to work themselves out. This is going to be a bit of a tougher one here to work out. But it's also going to talk about the frustration, Dan, is in a season that's going nowhere like this one is, if you can't find something to be excited about right now, then you need something to be excited about later. And that's why you call young players up in a season like this, because it gives you a reason to believe, you know what, this year sucks, but next year, it could get a little bit better. And right now, Bryce Eldridge, he's kind of the only prospect the Giants have right now who is big league ready. He is the only guy you're bringing up to get fans excited about the future. Because after that, Josar Gonzalez, the shortstop, he's in rookie ball. Luis Hernandez, the other shortstop, he's in rookie ball. Johnny Level, another shortstop. We have 3 shortstops in spots 2, 3, and 4 on the Giants' top 20 prospects list. He's in A ball. Gavin Killian, second baseman, he's in high A. All your other top prospects are at least 2, 3, 4 years away. When it comes to young players to get you and Giants fans excited, this is it. It's Bryce Eldridge, and hope he does well, because you're waiting for another 2 to 3 years before another exciting prospect is going to matriculate their way up to the big league team.
Unless, of course, at the trade deadline, you're unmoving somebody like that at Devers, and the New York Mets are giving you a boatload of their young talent. So that remains to be seen. I like what it is that Fleming had to say, and I sort of lean that way. And I mentioned he didn't talk about defensively, but getting the opportunity to work with Ron Washington every day and take ground balls as opposed to whatever it is he was doing in Sacramento, I think is also a huge benefit. I think the only thing with what Fleming was talking about is, and I think that Eldridge has said as much, that he wanted to face Yamamoto. He wanted to face what it's like going up against Shohei Ohtani, because you hear so much about it and what is it you've been able to do throughout your career, especially in the minor leagues.
Bryce came up as a 2A player too, so I think that's kind of an interesting subplot there as well.
That's right. And how do I measure up against the best in baseball? I have ownage basically on just about all of these coconuts at the minor league level. How do I stack up against the best? So he wants that. Again, this just gets back to, yes, it's not going to inhibit his growth if he doesn't play every day, but he's got to play more than what it is he's doing right now. It gets right back to our original dilemma of, really, we brought him up here to pinch hit. Does that really benefit him seeing major league pitching that infrequently?
And what it does when you do it like that, Dan, and what really pisses me off is when you have a situation like last Saturday, he hits his first home run, and then he's not in the lineup the next day. That's what I don't like seeing. If he's going to do well on Saturday, he needs to be in the lineup on Sunday. If he's going to do well on Wednesday, he needs to be in the lineup on Thursday. You have to reward his successes. And again, as the season spirals more and more out of control, you got to prioritize new ways to getting him in the lineup. We'll see what today's lineup's going to look like. It's a 6:40 start. Trevor McDonald against Luis Severino. We'll see if McDonald can keep his strong outings going. But there's going to be no Elliot Ramos in the lineup tonight. So what do you do? Do you have an outfield of Drew Gilbert, Harrison Bader, and Jung-Hoo Lee? Or you got to put Lee in left, maybe put Jesus Rodriguez in right with Bader in center? Or is Drew Gilbert in right with Lee in left, Bader in center? Or let's try Casey Schmidt in the outfield again. Let's throw Casey Schmidt in right field, Jung-Hoo Lee in left, and Harrison Bader or Drew Gilbert in center. Let's see if Casey Schmidt can handle the outfield. And then you can get Bryce Eldridge still in your lineup there. Every day is a puzzle. Let's try this puzzle today with Casey in the outfield, Bryce in the lineup, because I need Bryce in the lineup at least 4 to 5 times a week right now.
Speaking of the outfield, we haven't gone here, but we have to sort of talk about the little post-game celebration after
Oh, my
victory.
God, that's a great call. Let's jump off this Bryce Eldridge thing and talk about that. What did you think about the Giants' outfield celebrations this week?
What the hell's going on here? You inferred to this last week when you said, you see, they were trying to kiss like Joe Louise put. I was like, no, that couldn't be. And apparently it was. Because the three of them, that little dance. I guess it's something that's sort of pervasive throughout baseball.
Well, yeah, the Mets are doing it. I think the Diamondbacks did it. Then Major League Baseball has to send a little note to the Giants telling them to stop doing it.
Yeah, stop humping each other.
Yeah, and so, stop humping, which I never would have thought I'd see the day when Major League Baseball is sending out stop humping emails or memos, I guess. I don't know how it was
delivered. A little weird. I got to admit, man, I'm pretty tolerant. I'm pretty liberal when it comes to this stuff.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's just
just guys being dudes.
I don't know if I need to see you gyrate like that after a win.
Well, then you see what they did on Wednesday night, I think, because they got chastised the night before. They do a little bow afterwards. That's one of the ones they asked Tony Vitello about it. He was pretty mum about it. I was texting one of the beat writers, just being like, dude, I need you to get your investigative reporting hat on and get to the bottom of this. And he's like, they're probably not going to say anything. So I haven't heard anything reported on it or seen anything reported on it since then. So when I'm there tonight, maybe I'll ask Drew Gilbert, hey, man, give me the lowdown on how this one came together and what's going to be the next celebration.
Cuckoo Gilbert.
They haven't had a win since they did the bow, so maybe they got to go back to the humping thing. Maybe it's the curse of the hump.
Would you bust out the Cuckoo Gilbert? Would you say, do you mind? I work with a guy.
I work with this guy. His name's Dan Devone. He says your name is Cuckoo Gilbert.
No, I'm just saying, would you be okay if someone was to nickname you Cuckoo Gilbert? He might embrace it.
He might lean into it. He's a fun-natured guy that way, Drew Gilbert. He's one of the friendliest guys you'll meet in that clubhouse.
Well, think about it from this end. I mean, they don't win games very frequently, and then when they do, they even screw that up with a celebration.
Well, I even think they screw up. I think Major League Baseball is the reason to blame for that one. I thought the celebration was great. Hey, have a good time out there, but Major League Baseball has to ruin all the fun of it because
I know
what's so bad if that happens. What's Major League Baseball really afraid of? A bunch of little leaguers doing it.
There is. And listen, I'm the last guy, to ever say, hey, man, there are kids watching, but there are kids
to hell with the kids.
W.C. Fields, I love it, yeah. W.C. Fields' famous line, do you like kids? Yes, when they're properly cooked.
See, I like kids too, especially the ones that aren't mine. That's why I'm so glad I don't have any.
But I just said the humping thing is just like a little over the top, a little graphic for me, man.
It was.
I mean, what's this? I hate to throw out this phrase. Is it sort of the circle jerk? What is it that they're emoting here? What is the celebration?
Well, you've seen the other one. I saw a little video circulating on Twitter this week of the Mookie Betts sunflower seeds to the face thing. See, that I feel like is more egregious, but Shohei Ohtani's team can do whatever because that's Rob Manfred, diehard Dodger fan. He's okay with the Dodgers getting away with murder.
It's not as public as being in center field and Dodger Stadium.
I mean, it still gets caught on camera. Yeah. The only reason we saw the humping thing is because NBC panned to it. If NBC doesn't make that go to that cut, we don't know about it.
Well, they usually go to that cut after every game.
Well, maybe they learned their lesson.
Yeah. I'm just saying, at some point, we do have to draw a line. I mean, there was that year, Randy Moss, one year when the celebrations in the end zone were really sort of getting out of control, and he mimicked pulling down his pants. And I'll never forget that Buck was on the call and said, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. I think it's to a point. And
I don't think disgusting such a just strong word in that situation. It's good-natured funness. But
well, all right. I
remember this a couple years ago when the NFL started, easing the rules on.
Why do they lap dance? Like they get a little portable chair, have Jung Hoo Lee sit down, and then just have Cuckoo Gilbert go to work.
Just have a little train going on out there, like something crazy like that. God, can I say that on the radio? I always remember there was one a few years ago when the NFL started relaxing the celebration rules. Odell Beckham Jr. had a touchdown. He started dog walking through the end zone, lifted his leg up to go pee. That was one of the ones the NFL was like, you know what? You guys can celebrate. No, you can't do that one there. But, it's, Dan, they're winning so little these days. Like, let them have their fun.
They want to do.
Exactly. Like, you can't do that after a win. Well, there's only going to be so many of these things the rest of the year. So what are we really complaining about here?
When they always, I do side when it comes to the NFL and Major League Baseball, and for this reason is because it's a product that you're putting out there at the end of the day. And if it becomes there's a fine line, Sam, between WWE and the NFL or Major League Baseball. Like, you don't want to cross into sort of silliness. Like, there's a decorum when it comes to. It's the reason why the XFL is the XFL, where you can do the shenanigans and do whatever the hell it is that you want. But there's a sort of professionalism that comes with the NFL. And I think that's always sort of in the back of the minds of the powers that be at Major League Baseball. Like, you can have fun, man, but there's
a line.
We're going to draw a line on whatever the hell it is that you're doing.
They want to keep it PG or a light PG-13, but it's due to.
I want to know who do you think was. Who orchestrated that? Like, who was the brainchild?
The rumor I'm hearing is it was Gilbert. That's what the streets are saying.
Cuckoo Gilbert.
Yeah, that seems like a Drew Gilbert thing, and so that's one where, again, when I get out there today, if I get a chance, I'll try and ask him about that one. As we're tying up random things here, did you see any of the schedule release videos that came out of the NFL?
I did not.
Tyler Malley, I guess, caught a stray in the Cowboys one.
How'd that happen?
Let me see if I can bring it up here. But basically, they included him for some reason. When they played the 49ers, they included Tyler Malley in there. It's just some not good
pretty
picture.
Random.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't know if Tyler Malley's from Dallas or something like that. I thought that was kind of weird. Of all the guys that you're gonna include in your schedule release video, I don't know why you're going off of after Tyler Malley there on that one. I thought that one was kind of a little bit weird, but. Anyway, I was neither here nor there on the NFL schedule release. Got a few more minutes left here. Again, we're talking about
a Newport Beach guy.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I'm not sure where you're getting Tyler Malley on that one. There's so many other, you could do Chapman there or Adames or I don't know why Tyler Malley. I don't know why the Cowboys are going after him. That's one where my guess is no one asked him about it yesterday since he was pitching yesterday. So that's another one where if I get a chance today, I'll go up and be like, hey, is there a reason why the Cowboys are calling you out? And he'll probably say something to the effect of, I don't know. And then that'll probably be how that conversation
goes. How's the press
goes.
box out there, by the way?
I will not be. I probably won't be able to sit in it because there's not enough room.
It's like a treehouse. Got 5 guys in there.
Basically, yeah. Well, they got hopefully they have more room than they did last year. So last year the press seating area was outdoors.
Yeah.
And they had these series of little baby desks in this little outdoor patio seating area with. They're literally right next to each other. There's no gaps between the desks.
Oh, okay.
And there's nowhere to really walk to. So you're taking your life into your own hands every time you try to walk across those desks, and it's just this is a lawsuit just begging to happen.
Does Sutter Health have sort of where you can watch the game from the grassy knoll?
Yeah, they got the lawn seating out in right field.
Do.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems like a perfect city that time of the day to do that sort of.
Especially in the evening. Yeah. It gives you spring training vibes, though. I'll be honest, because a lot of spring training places have the grass seating in the outfield. But I took it a couple innings out there last year. It's it's a very chill atmosphere. It really is. I don't know if I would say I wish you could replicate that.
Well,
with
they
other
have
teams.
to a certain degree. So I'm with you. It's very minor league-esque, but who's been able to make that transition at the major league level is Petco Park in San Diego. I don't know if you've been.
That's right. They do have that little kind of. They have that grassy knoll out beyond center field.
It's awesome. Yeah, and it's right an extension from downtown as well. And it's really it's a cool vibe out there. Mm-hmm. And it just has sort of that happy hour feeling. And, San Diego, everybody's sort of pretty. Little ultimate frisbee going on. There is just a good vibe, but still, you wouldn't think of Petco Park as being amateurish or minor league-esque.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
They still got, I think everyone just based down as if you have bleachers or not, I guess, or if you have bleacher seating.
Do they have bleachers at Petco? I'm trying to think.
Oh, they have outfield. So they don't have bleachers as in they don't have the traditional metal benches that usually make up bleachers.
They have outfield seating?
They have the outfield seating, yes, which again, I don't know if, does it have to be a bench to be a bleacher, or does it just have to be in the outfield for it to be a bleacher? This is a very philosophical question I feel like we're asking.
I always felt that the bleachers were just outfield seating.
Yeah, that's kind of what I would, call it. Just like the A's at the Coliseum, they had the bleacher seating was open seating, but they still called it bleachers, even though there's no benches in the Coliseum. Like the Yankees, I don't think they have benches out in the outfield. Whereas I believe Fenway, they do have benches out there. Marlins Park, I think it's seats out there. Well, now I'm kind of curious how many teams have seats in their outfield versus benches in their outfield. Again, this feels like a very philosophical question. What is a bleacher?
Candlestick Park used to have seats out there.
Yeah, but you still probably call them the bleachers out there, right?
Oh, they call them the bleachers, and the only reason they had seating, it's because it was for football.
So that makes sense. Anyway,
anyways,
but again, ending in on the philosophical debate there. Giants tonight, 6:40. Trevor McDonald against Luis Severino. Severino does not pitch well at Sutter Health, so if there's ever a time to maybe get 3 hits in a row tonight, Giants, that will be it. We'll see where Casey Schmidt's playing tonight.
I want to say McDonald is the last time a Giants pitcher has gone like 7 innings.
Yeah, I think with six or 7 innings against the Dodgers on Monday. And then who pitched? Hauser, I think, pitched 6 innings on Tuesday night. Hauser pitched pretty well. He'll be pitching on Sunday.
No, but 7 innings, I think, and it was longer than this. I don't think he went 7. I don't think he came out for the 7th against the Dodgers. I think you got to go back to like 10 days, 12 days, almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's so rare to see pitchers go 7 innings these days, especially when you don't have Logan Webb healthy right now. But, just really quick before we get out of here, what were your thoughts on Trevor McDonald?
I mean, he's sort of a lone bright spot. I think when you think about him and Arise right now, in terms of he's the Arise version of pitching. But
hopefully Bryce Eldridge could be the Bryce Eldridge version or the Trevor McDonald version of Bryce Eldridge soon, and get in the lineup more. Dan, this was a good show this morning.
Let's do it, man. Next week. We're getting out a little early here.
Yeah, we got the White Sox in town next week. Hopefully the Giants will be a better team by then. Dan, thank you so much. Zach, thank you as well for your work. And then hopefully the Giants win tonight. And, of course, as always, Dodgers suck.
Later, dudes. Let it rip. Hang 10.
It's Bonte. And listen, I know a great thing when I see it. And River Islands in Lathrop, this place is the real deal. We're talking about a community that's alive, especially this summer. Sparkling lakes are perfect for kayaking,